Precious show. We have a good one for you guys today. We're going to talk about some family business. We're going to get into some other videos. I see the chat is already very active, but before I go over there, I would like to welcome my panel, my co-host, the actual King Smith. Got to welcome you guys in this evening. How are you, Mr. King Smith?
Hey, I'm doing well, doing good. Feel like I got a lot of different things chopped up as I'm leaving one and coming over here. But I'm here. We live. Let's get to it.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. Mr. Hink, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm good, ma'am. Hopefully everybody else is good as well.
Yes, we're good over here. We're good over here. Mr. Payne, how are you?
Very good, very good. Hey, I like that back down there, King. It looks new. Look at you, man.
Hey, I'm trying different
Upgrade,
things out.
huh?
Yeah, I'm trying different things out.
You got
There
the
you go.
merch. You got
Nice.
the merch and everything.
I know you got the merch going. Look at him, man. All right. Yeah, everything's cool. How about you?
Everything's good. Everything's good.
Good.
All righty. So we got a good one today. Before I get into some of these videos, I want to give some shout outs to those who are joining us. If you are joining us, definitely hit that like button as you come in. It is free to hit the like button. The thumbs up button right outside of the live video is a thumbs up. Just hit that. Get the algorithm moving a little bit. It might be a little sleep. Get it moving a little bit for us. All right. So Fish and the Fit is in the building. Good evening, sir. He says, good evening, everyone. You guys need to go over to his Instagram page. He's a fisherman, and I enjoy watching his videos and just seeing, just a different activity other than the regular old thing. I think fishing is very cool. It's something that you can do. It teaches you patience. I don't know who
Hey,
that is. We're gonna have to
you.
mute. Okay, he dropped.
Yeah.
So fishing is something that teaches you patience. I think is something that's really cool. I've tried it a few times. Definitely would love to try it again. But thank you so much for joining in. Jeffrey Woodland says, good evening, Sister Precious, the panel, the chat, and the mods. Thank you so much for being here, Jeffrey. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Quincy, Mr. Q is in the building saying good evening, good people. Bless up the chat. Christopher Sterling, thank you so much for being here. Says good evening, everyone. Tarika Smith, thank you so much for being here. That is our best mod in the YouTube land. Thank you so much for always supporting and being here as support as we go through the show. Everyone, evening, everyone, please hit the like button as you come in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so we're going to get into some of these videos. I have a few. They range, but towards the end of the show, we're going to get into family business and things of that nature. So the first video that I want to bring to you guys' attention is from the show College Hill. Now, I don't know if you guys know about the show College Hill, but it's when a lot of celebrities come to a college campus. They live the campus life sort of by doing assignments. There is one right now on Netflix. And oh my goodness, who's in that one? Name somebody, Michelle. You just watched it. Who is in that one? I can't think of anybody right now, but I do have a clip of the people that are going to be in the next one. And Carlos Miller, he is a comedian, part of 85 South, I believe. And he talks, or they're talking about homelessness in this class that they're in, and they have to create a bill to pass in regards to homelessness. And this is what he has to say in regards to it.
And I'm not apologizing.
So before we move forward, because there's more to this video, what do you guys think about what Carlos said in regards to homelessness not being everyone's problem?
Nobody wants to go first.
Nah, I saw that our painter came off mute, so start us off.
Listen, it's not everybody's problem. It's not. It's not, but that's not the point. But it is the government's problem. And it's something that the fact that we can't fix it, we can send a person to the moon, we can do everything. All this is logistics. And we have too many idiots who run the government, right? And instead of having real solutions to the problem, or to even prevent homelessness even from starting and catching people before they go over the edge, we just got stupid policies. And I stole this from Anton Daniels' show. They build luxury apartments for the homeless downtown LA in prime real estate, $600,000 an apartment. It's going to be 500 units. Right now, they open up 250 units. I mean, luxury, right? They could have built 10 times as many apartments for the same price and change Skid Row into something where it could be beneficial for those people who are already there, as opposed to spending money like that, $250 million on a high rise for the homeless, and they're homeless, and they have to, and that's not even the cost. The maintenance cost is what, 10 million, 20 million, 100 or 50 million a year? I don't know. That's taxpayers' money. Now, I don't mind doing something for the homeless, but why luxury apartments? $600,000 a piece? How about $100,000 with 6 times the apartment? So I'm just sitting back here. We got the politicians, don't get me started, making stupid decisions. And we all have to pay for it, but we are not all responsible for homeless. We do know that we're going to always be responsible for poor people in every society. 10% of the people we're going to always have to take care of. I don't care what society, what kind of government, whatever. Some of your money is going to always be to take care of the poor. And and you're already doing it because you pay taxes.
Okay.
I think to say homelessness should be everybody's problem is ridiculous. For me, I'm looking at it like, if you look at the people that are close to you and somebody's homeless, you likely understand why that person is homeless, and the reason why you or your family members don't reach out to that person or help that person is kind of goes to the saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make that horse drink. You know that you can give people resources, try to educate them, do all the things, but there's something about their decision making that is going to cause them to go right back to that homelessness state. Okay, so I don't think it should be everybody's problem. I think that the people that are closely intimate to that individual person could have some responsibility to try to help. There's only a small example of people that is a person that can live in a certain place, be homeless, and also have no family members or community to reach out for resources or to help them out, right? And I'm big on the homelessness issues, but only about less than 3% of people that I see, because I deal in the veteran section as a veteran myself, and one of the problems that we have outside of suicide and things like that is veterans homelessness, but only about 5% of those people actually want the help, and when they get it, can sustain that. 95% of the rest, and I'm throwing out my stats. These aren't actual. You can go to censusbureau.com or whatever, but because I do work for the VA, I understand what the stats are. 95% of the rest of them, you can do everything and bend over backwards to give them the assistance, resources, and try to educate them, and they'll still end up back homelessness because they just don't have willpower.
Okay. Good evening, Darwin. Good evening, Kenny. How are you guys doing this evening?
Great. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you so much for joining. Kenny, how are you?
Too blessed up to be stressed out. Evening panel. What's up? What's going on?
Doing well. We just got into this video of Carlos Miller on the set of College Hill, which is, I guess, a new season that's going to be coming out. And we're talking about the first half of the video in regards to homelessness being everyone's problem. Hank, I don't know if you wanted to go, anybody, whoever wanted to jump in. I know the two guys didn't I don't know if did you guys see that video at all? The beginning part of it?
No, is it a long video?
It kind of is. We're like in the middle of it right now.
Y'all can just give me a summary, and I'll maybe just give a point.
I'm gonna rewind it just a tad bit because it's pretty self-explanatory. They're kind of in a classroom setting here. Let me see. Okay. So whoever wants to jump in, Hank, Darwin, or Kenny.
Oh, Hank was here before me, so
well, let me say this. Yeah, let me say this. As far as homeless, it really is our problem. Is us as taxpayers, you know, if they're gonna use a portion of our money, that makes us our problem. Now, do we have a say so in where a lot of our money goes? No, we don't. And if they're going to use a portion of it, we should be concerned about it because it could be a situation that could be fixed. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to be easily fixed or quickly fixed or it's going to be an overnight thing. No, it's going to take some time and a lot of education, a lot of training, a lot of mental adjustments these people's going to have to make as far as being homeless. Because first of all, they're going to have to get out of that mindset of being okay with being homeless. Some of them are just lazy and they don't want the responsibility of an adult. They just don't. They have opportunities to get out. Some of them do have family members who are trying to get them out of that situation that they just don't want to deal with the responsibilities of being an adult. Now, some have some mental issues that, you know, people are not willing to take them in because they maybe can't handle the mental situation, the mental, the mental barriers that some people are going through. You know, some like King said, they're vets. They just don't know. They don't have the knowledge. They don't have the wherewithal. They just don't have what they need to get some of the things, the benefits that they're missing out on. Look, I talk to vets all the time, talk about how hard it is to get some of their benefits from the VA. How the VA will send them through so much drama, they like to forget it. It's not worth going through all the BS to get the benefits. Now, even though financially it's worth it, but it's the time and the energy that you have to put in to get to that point. They don't feel like it's due. They don't feel like it's worth. You know what I'm saying? They feel like it's a lot more red tape than it should be. So imagine a homeless person have to deal with all that and still have to have the mental capacity to have the patience and the understanding and make the appointments that they have to make the meetings that they have to make the go through the physical and the medical procedures that they would have to make, and still maybe have to, you know, tell the story on how did they get hurt and why did he get discharged and all that. And some of them don't want to deal with that. Some of them don't want to deal with that PTSD that they found some way to get past it. You know, then you still have the ones who are alcoholics, who are drug addicts now. And now you have to deal with that situation. And so that's a whole different ball of wax that, you know, that some are not willing to deal with or accept or try to handle or address. So, yeah, I think it was kind of selfish of him because he's on the other side. He doesn't have them problems. It's not till it hit home or close to home or actually you before you start to see, damn, okay. So I'll leave it there.
I'd like to add on to what he said. I think Carlos is a man that's in a position to say what he said because he's worked hard to get to where he's at. Like, I follow him closely as a guy who has done stand-up comedy in the past. I had a chance to meet Carlos and ask him for advice and things like that. And that brother works hard. And that's the same boat that I'm in. I was talking to my neighbor about how the lady that comes and cleans my house, she owns 3 businesses. She's not from this country, yet this lady makes bank and she runs and owns 3 damn different businesses. But yet you want to get Joe Blow or Stephanie, who's 25 years old, who thinks that she could do an OnlyFans and parlay that into a lifestyle of luxury because she don't want to go out there and work hard, right? Carlos can say that because he's worked hard to get to where he's at. I've worked hard to get to where I'm at, working damn near 18-hour days sometimes to pull myself up after I got divorced, because I knew what not working meant, and I didn't want that. I agree with Carlos.
Okay. Thank you for your input, Hank. I liked your input as well. Darwin, Kenny?
Well, I would say to the topic, is homelessness everyone's problem? I would say I wouldn't say it's everyone's problem, but I would say it's okay. So, for example, if my kids end up homeless, I would assert myself in that to help them if I can. So I would say it's the responsibility of the parents if they have parents. So I get it. Like sometimes your kids could make the wrong decisions. Even if you brought them up with the right principle to mitigate any temptation or any distraction that could cause them to go down the wrong path. But still, even if they do, I think if you're spiritually grounded, then you would look at that as okay. Sometimes we stray off, and sometimes we make mistakes, and we become we find ourselves in a position to where we're hopeless. And even if we call back to the Lord for forgiveness and repentance, He always have an open arm for us to come back in. So I think if we just use that as a representation of how we care for our own children, then the parents could, go on the record and say, okay, I'll hold myself responsible. I'm gonna give him all the tools he need. But if some reason he run into something and it don't work out, I'm gonna always be here. I think there was like a prodigal son story or some shit like that. I don't know if that kid was ever homeless or whatever, but just something, uh, to make it parallel to your spiritual belief. If you're spiritually grounded, I mean, for those who aren't, I'm pretty sure they got some other principle that's parallel to that, but it may not be the Bible or whatever. But for me specifically, I got two boys. I'm gonna try my best to train them up to be able to navigate economy and all of the natural disasters that may come and cause them to, fall off. And if they ever fall off, I'm gonna let them know you can always come back home. I don't care what it is. I'm gonna love you no matter what. Yeah, I think we have enough parents doing that, then we can probably put a dent in the homelessness, and the economy won't be a factor, so to speak. Because I do know I have relatives in my own household. The way they deal with their kids is totally different from mine. They would tell their kids, "Hey, look, when you get grown, your ass is gone." I think
Mm.
that's a typical thing that I see. I'm not gonna say everybody because everybody always hit me for painting everybody with the same paintbrush. But I would say most of the black people in our community, or that we know, usually use that technique with their children. As far as when you get 18, you getting your ass out and you own your own, and you're no longer my responsibility. Me specifically, I think that's a bad way of bringing up your children.
We're actually going to get into that. So thank you for touching on that. You don't even know the videos that I have coming up, but that's part of some of the videos. So thank you for that. Kenny, did you want to weigh in on this?
Evening panel.
Good
Okay.
evening.
I was at the privy of seeing a couple of his responses. From his responses, it seems like he's removed from knowing the plights or even caring about it. A lot of people tend not to care until it's at their front doorsteps, until buses are bringing in migrants and other people within their neighborhoods, until they hear their property values going down because they're moving in methadone clinics and other facilities within their neighborhoods, until you see on the news that certain crimes are now committed by those addicted, which is one of the largest parts of the homelessness population, over 60%. Then you have another study that states that over 50-something% is because they were former leaseholders, and due to economic reasons, they couldn't hold apartments and things of that nature. I think this country, and Darwin being a military guy, the amount of money that they spend yearly on military budgets, a portion of that could solve the, the complete homeless problem. And they tend not to because it's not a priority. In this capitalist society, they push, someone always has to have, and someone always has to be a have-not. If you go down to California, was it LA with the strip? There's no way in the country of countries that everyone comes to that there should be rampant homelessness. We have enough money to build facilities that we could at least put them up in stabilized homes and, lodgings and such, and provide services where they can be reintroduced within the society and do things that could be profitable, bring up the GDP of this country. It's
We
inexcusable.
don't have those things already. I thought maybe we'd have those things.
Okay, here's the thing. We spend ample amounts on a military budget with stuff that just sits, stuff that we also sell to countries that end up kicking us in the butt because we've made partnerships with country. How much money has we sent to Israel? And we annually we send to Israel, and they're actually committing a genocide. And I'm gonna say it to the Israelis. And you're big on home base, Darwin. I've heard you say it before. We're supposed to make our country strong, right? You know the numbers, they're easily accessible. We're not supposed to be in a place where there are rampant destitute, and that's growing due to inflation. We have enough resources. There's not overpopulation. It's only overpopulation due to vicinities and large gambits of places. Because we have enough places. Texas could fit how much people? All of China?
So let me ask you this, Kenny, and I'm gonna rock with you on this one. Are you saying that America has enough resources to take care of homelessness in America? Okay, great. So why do you think they won't do it?
As simple as put, this country prioritizes war, being able to keep the control.
So you
Why you
don't think
think they
we
have
have
a
enough in
draft?
our budget? You
I
don't think
didn't
we have
finish.
enough in our budget to take care of homelessness and prioritize war?
I didn't finish.
Okay, go ahead.
They prioritize pushing a new bill for 18 to 26 to match the military of the Asians. We have more than enough weapons to kill this world over 1,000,000 times over. We have more than enough morals and ethics to stop funding the Israelis and take care of home base, but we do not. You understand? Because you could take that because you're military now. You already know my dad was a Green Beret, or maybe you don't. You understand? You can easily troll my page, but he was,
Hold on.
he was the main reason I didn't get into the military, because these funds need to be pushed. And getting back on the topic, as Precious would like me to get, you understand? We have enough that there shouldn't be anybody hungry. We have enough that we could build enough stabilized homes for these people, because eventually we're going to get to a point where we're going to have to present an economic income, because machines will start taking over those jobs. And that's not going too far. And that's not disrespecting your service. Hats off. But you know that is evident.
All right, guys. So we're gonna continue on with the video here because I think we got about another minute and a half on it.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie, bro. That dude Carlos, bro. Yo, he went straight for the juggler, but I would say that he made sense with what he's saying. But in a sense, at the end of the day, it's up to each individual what they want to do with their money. I think, and I think me and Kenny had this back and forth on King Talk before. I mean, you do for your community, and unless your community, unless your black people can come together as a unit and operate as a unit, I think it's foolish to be spending your resources outside of your household if you can't really see where it goes. You know what I'm saying? Like, where does it go? And that's why I asked. I don't think I asked Kenny. I think I asked Sweeney, because they were talking about reparations, and I'm like, okay, you think it's smart to give black people reparations at a time like this? What would that do? That it's gonna go right back into the other communities' hands. It'll be like giving reparations to the people who control consumerism. You get what I'm saying? It'll be like the hugest stimulus check in world history. So all the millions of dollars you get, they're gonna go and get Bugattis, Cuban links, Birkin bags. They're not gonna. I don't see them taking that money and rebuilding black people in America. The way the minds are disconnected, the diversity on what we believe as a black people. Yeah, we eat fried chicken together and all that other shit. But I'm talking about stuff we do economically together. You have your micro communities, but as far as a whole, I think it'll be an overwhelming amount of black people using their reparations just to flood it into the consumerism. Y'all go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna keep going with the video because I cut it in there to put that reaction in there. Where did it go?
I'm saying the same thing.
Yeah,
I'm doing and saying the same thing.
Woo, you shouldn't have asked me.
What is that, King?
My position is what I said earlier. Work harder. Get your ass up.
You know how funny it is. Carlos Miller used to sell drugs. He used to be in the trap.
I know it's history.
So he was desensitized to folk from way back then. You know what it takes to sell somebody something that you know will eventually kill them, destroy their family, destroy their way of living, their esteem, how they think about themselves, and you know they have a dependency on it, and you have the morals to say right or wrong. I can stop you from doing this, or I will profit off of your misdeeds, your low self-esteem, your bad ways of judgment, rather than be a staple in the community. I have no respect for him. He's a sucker. You understand? Yeah. Anyone that sell poison, he said it in his old comedy special, even made a bit about it. Them kind of dudes, if I saw them on the street, I spit in their face and then say, shoot your hands and come deal with me.
You wouldn't buy from him, right?
He
okay, Darwin, that was cute. Hey, I never did drugs. That was cute. Okay.
I'm glad you made that point. Have you ever?
I like that stab. And if you was to do that, I would shoot hands with you because you know I know how to box. So maybe you troll my page.
Hold on, real quick. That I was just confirming that you wouldn't.
No. I want you. I catch your slick talk.
No, I got a second point.
Merry Christmas.
You're gonna understand it once I make the second point.
All right, make your point. Make it.
The reason why I made that first point just to be going on record that you wouldn't buy from them. So would you buy? Would you? Do you eat?
Wait. Stop right there. What does that imply?
Do you eat fast food?
No. I don't eat fast food anymore.
Do you eat candy?
Seldom.
You drink alcohol?
I do.
Hold on, wait. You sell candy?
I seldom learn English.
You seldomly eat candy?
Seldom. SELDOM. Let's go through that coloring book together.
I get it, but that doesn't mean just because you seldomly do it doesn't mean that you don't eat candy.
Okay, get to your point.
So the point is, you eat candy and you drink alcohol. You're buying from the Carlos Millers of alcohol and candy. Is that not true? Just correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm gonna correct you.
So you wouldn't buy from Carlos. You wouldn't buy from the
you don't want the correction. You asked me to correct you.
Okay, go ahead.
Crack mixed with baking powder, mixed with baking powder and some other addictive things keeps you hooked on something. I can give up candy. I can give up alcohol. You know how Philip Morris made billions of dollars? They had the best scientists, and they learned to put what they needed to put within cigarettes. And they laughed at you by putting the Surgeon General warning as a disclaimer on the side. Don't smoke because it's bad for you. But they know they put something that's addictive that you couldn't get away from. That's like a slap in the face. Candy is not addictive.
Oh,
I'm not 800 pounds. You're not cutting me out no house.
Okay, so I get it.
uh,
It's only bad if you don't. You can sell stuff to people that you know would for sure kill them, just long as it don't make them addictive to where they can't use their own judgment to get off of it. Am I right or wrong?
In part. But if you know what you're selling has the potential to quantify and put people in positions where they lose themselves, cognitively, you should know, maybe, you know what, I shouldn't be doing this if I had morals and ethics. If I know I'm just doing this just to make a price point.
Okay, I get it. So we both agree that both of the things will kill you, and both of the people who are selling it knows it'll kill them. So that's the parallel there. It's just you have a bias against the ingredients in it because it either makes you hooked or mess with your cognitive ability to make sound judgment whether you need to get yourself off of it before it do long lasting damage.
Okay, to keep it on Carlos Miller, he is already desensitized to people. Guys that I know, that I grew up with, they used to sell drugs to their own mothers and have their friends' mothers give them dick sucks. You understand? Those are people devoid from humanity.
Listen,
Carlos has been there. He was in the trap, spoke about it. So he lacks value for human life.
I get it. I just wanted to point out the similarities between you
People are responsible for what they do. But if you lead them to it, there's certain parts, like Hank has kids. He's going to tell them that stove is too hot. They're going to learn by going there to heat. He's going to give them directives as for what not to do within this life to be successful, because I am that thing that you should reciprocate in life. I don't want you to go down that path. This is how. This is A plus B equals C. Look down there in Homeless Row. Look at Sally that just died from the overdose. Look at Johnny that just got shot up in the 7-Eleven for trying to steal and rob somebody. Those are the roads that it leads to. Percentage of the time. Let's do stats wise. Well, listen, I'm going to show you how not to go that way.
I understand you completely. I didn't want to go that far. I just wanted to have an understanding. We both understand that both merchants who control the items that they're dishing out as dangerous that could kill them, they're pretty much doing the same thing, just in a different way.
Okay, so because I get an all-day sucker when them lollipops, them strawberry ones, I'm gonna die from diabetes. They're gonna take my foot if I get too much lollipops.
Or what about the alcohol?
Okay, it's a balance. If I abuse it, it's a balance. I give you that. It's a balance. But when you start dealing with that that Bolivian, that's a whole different ball game, partner. You know about that?
So basically, let me understand this, and I'm a yield. You could sell a person death as long as you don't go to the extreme of how you do it.
Yeah, I don't think we should, man. But look, I think Carlos is selfish as hell, and I really don't give a shit about him. Yeah, it's a bad look, especially you as a comedian. I don't know if he's trying to use it like as a gotcha moment or trying to make a joke. I don't know what he's trying to do, man. But it's really a bad look. And like he said, it's early on in the show, and I assume, I don't know, do they move into the same residence and they in the same house, so they stay together in this?
Yes, they do. So that's the first. I guess that's the first class. So they have to. There's points in times where they have to work on group projects and they have to all be involved. So yeah.
What's the name of that show again?
How long is this show? Is it? Can anybody leave at any given moment? Is it one of those things, or you got to get evicted? Like
was on the last one. Stacey Dash was on the last one, and she left early. I think for some medical reasons or something like that. But y'all know how Stacey Dash is. She's dashing. How long is it? I'm not quite Huh?
I said I used to
I,
like her back in the day, but you know,
I think that they complete maybe like 2 weeks in college or something like that. Ray J, that's who was on the last one, Ray J. Because he didn't pass because he had some things going on. He didn't do some assignments and things of that nature. So he was kind of like the star on that one or whatever. But this one, it looks like Carlos is definitely stealing the spotlight of what's going on in the storyline.
Can we
but ain't
talk?
that
Can
old
I
Saucy
speak? Yeah.
Santana up there too?
Yeah, he's in it too. He's
Yeah,
going to school too.
and ain't that your girl Braxton girl? Yeah, that's gonna be rough. God bless. That's gonna be rough, man. That's gonna be very entertaining. Let me say much.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing some more of these. Is this already on? Is this coming up
I'm not
soon?
sure.
As it, the,
I know the old one is on Netflix now. I don't know if it comes on MTV, BET. I don't know. I watch these shows when they come on Netflix because I don't watch TV that much. So, um, but this one definitely is entertaining. This is the only clip that I've seen so far, so I'm not quite sure if it's out yet or if that's like the teaser for it. But it definitely looks like it's going to be good. I remember doing a civic engagement course in college, and I actually chose homelessness because in North Jersey, that's all you see. You get off the exits, and you're just seeing people begging for money or people sleeping on the sidewalk. New York, you see a lot of it in New York as well. Atlantic City, you see it a lot there. Newark, Jersey City, Patterson. You see it in a lot of these cities where there are um, pretty much the economics and the surroundings are the hoods, the under funded areas where people just choosing to be homeless. What I found in my civic engagement course is that there are a lot of people who choose to be homeless. They would rather beg for money. That is their full-time job. They would rather do that than take the pressures and crawl their way, back to the top. There's a lot of people that would rather sleep in a tent because they don't want to pay rent, they don't want to pay a mortgage, they don't want to have household responsibilities. And so, a lot of, what we think is, our problem, the people who are choosing to be this way are also choosing to be this way. I also think though it is sad I mean, there are some people that even if you did give them a second chance, it's kind of like what King was saying, how would they sustain it? Right, because you can give somebody anything, you can give someone a house to live in, but how would they actually sustain it? And I know in the program that I was working in, it was a nonprofit program, and it was for families and individuals who had issues with homelessness, substance abuse, alcoholism. And what they did is
They gotta be drugs.
you know you know what.
This man used a sound effect of you while you was talking.
Yeah. But it's a program where there's a whole intake. Part of my volunteer was doing that intake, having the families come in. And part of the intake is, you have to be able to work a couple of hours or a few hours during the week. You have to be in at a certain time. You have to fill out paperwork. And so those things become tedious to people who are not doing that on a regular basis. And so, when you say it's homelessness, everybody's problem, I agree with Darwin as well when he said, hey, look, if your family know that you are in this situation, are they just giving up on you? How often have you been in this situation? Have they already tried to help you? And so homelessness is one of those complex issues where, you know, you don't know who to help because you don't know if the money is really just going down a drain or if it's just going to help them for that night, that season, or whatever the case may be. So you not only need the resources money wise, but you also need it people wise, because those people literally need other people to help them facilitate, process, do the footwork, get the paperwork in. It is a very tedious process. So I can see why Carlos Miller says, "Hey, it's not our problem," because he's used to working hard. He's used to getting out the mud. But one thing I don't like that he said, and I agree with Kenny, and when he said that, "Hey, look, you came from." Or no one told you to put that pipe to your lips and things of that nature, yet you was the person selling this in your community. So how did you foster, or how are you aiding these people that's in your community to get out of this problem that you don't think is your problem, but you're adding to the problem? So I think it would be interesting to see that full episode and how they ended up, and they get graded and all that good stuff. So I think Lapif said they're on season 1. Seems like episode 1 is out, season 3, episode 1. So you guys, if you get the opportunity, College Hill, season 3, episode 1. Thank you for dropping that in the chat. All right, I'm gonna get to some of these.
Well,
go ahead.
I didn't get a chance to say anything, but if you want to get to the chats, I mean, I can do it after you finish.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll do it after.
Listen, first of all, I agree with Carlos, whatever his name is, 100%. I think that I don't see anything that he said is wrong. And one of the things with everybody's reaction, that's why we're going to be doomed as Black people. That's why we are at the bottom of every goddamn thing. Because we are this liberal, I got to help people, whether they want to help themselves or not. We pay taxes. We put the worst people in office who are not addressing the problem. That's what we pay them for. And I don't think we should take personal why people are homeless, even though we don't know all the different reasons why people get there. We know enough reasons why they get their jobs. Happen. If you lose an address, you're homeless. And if you're homeless for a week and you spend a week on the street, you're already on your way to a mental disability. I can't imagine what it would be like to not have a roof over your head for a week. Those people are already going down the drain. So we don't have there's not enough room there to say I can recover, because 2 weeks on the street, 3 weeks on the street, you are not the same person. So I'm just saying there's enough money in the budget to fix all of this stuff. There's no will in the politicians. There's no profit in it because of our country. And we spend more money on war, death, and destruction than anything else. We need a peace dividend. And if you want to, okay, so Los Angeles has a solution, and this solution was build $600,000 a room, a house, high rise for homeless people. 250 units with another 250 coming in downtown LA, where the tax burden in LA is crazy already. Instead of putting billionaires down there so they could better the tax base, you're going to put something where you're going to always have to pay for maintenance forever on taxpayers' dollars instead of paying 6 times as many. So all I'm just trying to say is, as long as we have this rampant, crazy-ass liberalism going on, I agree with Carl. So what? He was a drug dealer before. He's going to go to hell for that. Well, he's not a drug dealer now. So that's not where he's coming from. So, I mean, we could go ahead in his past and say he can never have redemption. Then we want him to redeem other people. And besides, another thing what Carlos was saying to you, Kenny, listen, the biggest drug addict companies are the people who push sugar. That's the biggest drug that goes on in our country. And those people hate us. They got the medical association to take sugar away from sugar diabetes, because remember that's all they used to call it. Now they don't call it that no more. So we forget that the integral part of diabetes is sugar.
Yeah.
So let's stop, this moralizing. A drug dealer is a drug dealer is a drug dealer. So anyway, so that's enough of that. But let me just listen, I gotta see this show because I need to get on there and tell Carlos I'm on his side. It's me and you against the world, brother.
Same.
You know what I'm saying?
Same. I see Kenny shaking his head. Kenny, with where he's at now with 85 South Show and the whole 85 South Show crew and media. He has employed Black people from video to photo to everything that whole production does, right? So because he was a drug dealer in the past, does that invalidate the people that he's employed now with the work that he's done to get to where he's at?
Nino Brown gave out turkeys on Christmas. I mean on Thanksgiving, pardon me.
Dang.
Who gave him
Nino Brown gave out turkeys on Thanksgiving. A turkey and a half.
From New Jack City.
Could have just said Young Dolph.
Nah, I'm gonna speak what I know. I'm a man of a certain age, Darwin. You speak your truth, I speak mine. I grew up in 86, 87, crack vials all over the floor. My best friend, his brother, was one of the biggest dealers in the South Bronx. I knew what it did to people. I watched people deteriorate and turn mummified like they was on the mummy. I'm disappointed in our pain. I'm very disappointed in our pain.
Thank you.
And not
I
and
rock
not
with
the
him. He's gonna
and
go
not
to
the
hell,
best
but I'm
friend
gonna
that
dap
was
him
in
up.
your community.
Wait. Our
And not
pain
the
just
best friend
said,
and brother that's in
you
your
know what?
community.
Our pain was like the old man on the last scene of New Jack City. Your soul is required in hell, but I'm gonna dap you up. I'm a
I didn't
root
say
for
I'm
you.
going to hell. I said my man's going to hell.
Did I make you complicit with his behavior?
Oh, no.
But Kenny,
You know
why
what, Kenny,
not?
that's
Why
great, man.
not?
That's great
Why
stuff.
not show that same energy to your best friend who's doing it within your community? I put something in the comment that I talked about how you walk the streets of Baltimore. It's the Baltimore people that are throwing trash, eating, and throwing stuff in the streets when there's a freaking trash can receptacle 4 fucking steps away. Yet they're taking their trash and throwing it on the ground and then wonder why people don't want to bring money into their community. It's like you don't have pride in taking care of your own shit. So why do you think other people or government should care about coming in to help you out when you trashing up your own place?
You asked a question, you want to answer?
I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Because one of the dudes that I grew up with named Pretty John said something slick to his brother. And you know what his brother did in front of his mob? Stomped his head in there, curb almost killed him. He made an example as for if you felt some type of way about his actions, he's willing to take it there.
And the whole community was afraid of one dude's actions. The whole community.
Okay, so let me educate you. They was afraid of his crew. So I'm gonna go up there. My best friend brother is like that. I'm a young kid and get my head stomped in by the curb like Pretty John did, where people had to beg him to stop stomping them with them Timbs. Nah, I'm good. I'm a little kid. He made it known. He set the tone. As for what it was, mind your business. Roll or get rolled on. That don't mean I agree with it, but then you got to pick your battles. Either I'm on the side of the devil or in front of him. So guess what I did? I don't know when last I've been to that block. I got myself up out of there. But I know what type of men think like that. Carlos Miller, you wrote in the comments. Of course they got a work ethic. They got a work ethic and they don't give a shit about nobody. If you was somebody that had something they want, King Smith, you think you were safe? Think about what I just said. Let it resonate. If you had a block that they wanted and you was there, yeah, remember that belly movie? You eating real good. You think you could keep them off you? Think about what I said. I digress.
Well, let me say this. Can I say something real fast, first?
Sure.
Okay. I'm not surprised by Payne's actions and statements he made, because I know a couple weeks ago he was making some foolish bullshit ass statement in, and we had a clowning in, and I see the clowning has not stopped. It has not got any better, and our Payne's old ass saying this bullshit again. But our Payne is gonna be our Payne. We still love him. We just don't understand it. So
what a personal attack.
this is what I don't understand.
What a personal attack. I
probably
was right
wanting to
back
help
then
out
too. I was
anybody.
right now, and I was right back then.
Payne, hold on over there. I got you. I know you want it. I know. I understand.
We
I'm gonna
should
let
stay
you
on
have
the
it in a
issues
minute.
and not the people.
But the situation is, you willing on helping somebody else any other time, but you have a problem with helping the homeless. I don't understand. Would you donate money to charitable donations, like the Salvation Army or the Crusade for Children? You'll do that, but you won't help the homeless. They're probably more in the worst state.
I do help the homeless. I pay tax.
Payne, come on, Payne. I'm gonna let you have the mic in a second.
No, I pay tax.
Come on, bro. Man,
I'm sorry, you using my name. You mischaracterizing me. You want me to be quiet. I mean, it's not about. If you were just talking about the issue, that's one thing. But you're using my name.
But these are the words you said, though. These are the words you said. You said you agree with everything.
No. These are the words you were repeating from me. You listen what I mean. I didn't say I would never donate to the homeless. I never said that. I never said that. You could go back on this tape 100 times.
You said you agree with what my man said. That if you agree, that means you're not going to do it. Okay. And did you not hear what he said he's not willing to do?
He said it's not his responsibility.
Okay, then. That means he's not willing to help.
No,
that means he's not willing to donate. Oh, so if it's not his responsibility, what do you think he meant by that then, Arpane? Maybe
he means what I mean by that. It means what I mean, but I take it what he means. I mean, I don't take it personally that somebody. Listen, it's unfortunate that we have homeless people with us, and I pay taxes for my elected officials to help with the homeless situation, and they ain't doing it. But it's not like I haven't, and my family haven't taken in homeless people before, right? So if you're down on the luck, I'm the kind of guy who gives. But when I see a person who's homeless on the street, I'm the kind of guy who'll give them some money or buy them some food. I do that all the time. I mean, I do it all the time.
You don't agree with what Carlos is saying then?
No. I understand what he means. No. You're characterizing what he said to the fullest. I don't believe that we should. What he said in the beginning is what I agree with. I don't feel responsible for the homeless.
He said more than that, though.
That's what his premise is based on. That his premise is based, and so is mine. And that's what I'm keying on.
Okay. Once he started elaborating, then you got to hear that. And when you didn't sit there and say, "I agree with just what he said,"
I'll give you this. I don't have any problem with his elaboration.
You said, "I agree with what Carlos."
That's right, I do. I don't have any problem with his elaboration, but I hear what you're saying. I acquiesce, but I don't. But I don't believe I'm responsible for the homeless. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't help the people I can help. And I've done it.
So now you changing your stance. Okay, I can respect.
No, I'm not. I still agree with him. I still agree with 100%. I mean, 98%, whatever you said. His basic premise is that he doesn't feel responsible. If we listen to the whole thing, his basic premise is that he's not responsible, and I agree with him. We don't get. And the last couple of weeks ago, we got into it. I'm right back then too. I was right back there too. You know what I'm saying? So
okay.
Sorry, Hank, man. You know what, man? I hear you, man. I know I hear what you're coming. I don't agree. That's all.
Wrong. Send $20 super chat. Blessings, Precious, Hank, and the panel. Blessings to you as well. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for dropping the super chat. We appreciate you. Thank you. Paul Fox says the system and mental issues is the cause of homelessness. Fix these two and you solve the problem. Too much long talk. Black Lexicon says many homeless people are victims of capitalism. That is what the Democratic Party is trying to directly alleviate, not this trickle down BS.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Christopher Sterling says most of them are victims of themselves and the decisions that they made. Black Lexicon also says, I know someone who owns a lot of real estate. Why can't he build something for them since he cares so much? I'll wait. I also want to give a shout out to Harrison Davis. Thank you so much for the Cash App. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. All right, guys. All right. So the discussion has gone pretty good so far. I appreciate everyone's feedback. The last question I would ask, though, and it don't have to be a long answer. So, what is the extent that you would go to help the homeless? Is it let's go down to the soup kitchen and feed them during the holidays, or if I see them, because I saw a king say he don't put $1 out the window or nothing like that. I'm definitely a sucker for that. I pretty much always, I don't want to say always, but 98% of the time, if I see someone that's not looking, sketchy or whatever, and but if I see them, I will give. Because I think it's God created us to give and he wants us to give, especially to those less fortunate. But what is the extent that you will go to help the poor or the homeless, I should say? Because
So I would most definitely help anybody that's in my family that's homeless. And when I say family, my immediate family. um, Anybody on the outside, I'll carry a cooler full of water and sodas. And if I'm at an intersection and somebody needs something, I say, hey, look, you can open the back tailgate and go on the computer and get you a couple of things of water or some drink, some juice or whatever. And they'll do that. But as far as handing them cash, nah, not finna hand them cash out of the window. But if I had received a grant or something like that, or I received resources from the state or federal government, then I would take that and try to use those resources to help the homeless people. But I'm not gonna. My own personal resources only go as far. It's limited. It only goes as far as my immediate family, and I yield.
okay.
So with me, look, look, I used to before. Well, I remember I broke the news to my son that if you have any kids watch, please cover your ears. Santa Claus wasn't real, and I broke that news to him in the 3rd grade. And when I broke that news to him, he said, I told him we me and his mother weren't gonna give him no gifts. And he said, no, I don't mind him. Santa gonna bring me something. And I said, listen here, though. Santa ain't real. And he ain't bringing you shit because I'm Santa. And so that crushed him. So what gifts I did have, I donated them to the Salvation Army. So what I punished him was to do, we went down to the Salvation Army and we helped out by giving out the little angel tree stuff. That next year, I started a tradition. I said every year, we're going to get 2 kids from the angel tree to give back. Thanksgiving, we go down there and help out by help feeding. That was my way of humbling him, showing you are so blessed. You have your mother and your father here. You go to your refrigerator, you got food in the refrigerator. You go to your own room, you ain't got no hand-me-down clothes. You ain't got to share clothes with nobody. You don't share a room with nobody. This is everything you got. It's all you. You living in a big, beautiful house. You are blessed. But my ways of punishing and humbling him is make him feed the homeless. Going down to the homeless shelter. Donate. Matter of fact, I brought the idea to his middle school basketball team, and they went down there as a team to feed the homeless, to give back. Why? Because he needs to see this. He needs to know this. This could be you. This could be us.
So the homeless people are happy.
We can't afford to pay, and we could be in this situation. So you are blessed. You don't have them situation. But please believe me, this could be you.
So the homeless people are happy when your children deviate. So the homeless people are happy. The homeless people are happy when your children deviate because that means they get to eat and get clothes and stuff.
Now you don't have to do it because they deviate. You do it because you want to give back because you see the want to need. Look, her man. I remember I was I was a check cash in place away from being homeless because I couldn't pay my rent, didn't make enough money. I had a decision between paying car insurance, paying a car payment, making sure I hit my child support, along with rent, all due.
But
yeah, I got caught up in the trap. Hold on.
My parents,
Go ahead. Down. I know. Well, y'all love to interrupt motherfuckers, don't you?
You long-winded, man.
Normally I don't talk that much, but if you want to throw that body on me, I accept it. It's just one of those things, man. I know how close I was to being at, and I know I don't want to ever go back to there. And as part of one of my fears is to be broke. I don't want to ever go broke again, be broke and be on the verge of doing that. So, different things to humble me. I still do it every year. I just did it last year. I challenge other content creators. Go to the angel tree, get 2 angel trees, and I challenge you to buy the gifts on the angel tree and give back. Just to do it, give back. We if we can got a show and we make money from it, we can afford to. It's not gonna hurt us a few dollars. It cost me less than $100 to pay for 2 kids. I'm damn near everything on their list besides the big toys they wanted, like the PlayStation and drones. But everything else I was able to get their clothes and 2 of small toys on there. Less than $120. Just give back, man. Just give back.
Hey, all I was saying was, and I'm gonna let somebody else go. All I was saying was, if I was one of your kids, and every time I screwed up, I would have to go feed the homeless. I would use that as conditioning me to associate my mistakes and punishment with doing a good deed for homeless people. And I probably wouldn't think of it as a positive thing. I would think it as a consequence to my mistakes. It's doing something good for the homeless. So I think the association could be misinterpreted by the kid, and they could look at it as a traumatic thing. Like traumatically, okay, like anytime I fucked up, I had to go do something for homeless people. I hated that shit. You get what I'm saying? So if it serves as an actual punishment, they can think of it as a negative reinforcement.
Hey, Darwin, I don't forget nothing, right?
That's
Real quick, King.
You got to open your mouth and have a conversation with your kid and explain to him. There was only one time it was a punishment when I took his gifts and gave it to the Salvation Army. It was just a one-time thing. I just made it a tradition after that because he enjoyed doing it. He enjoyed giving back. And so I just made a tradition after that for us to start doing that from here on out. So it wasn't it was a one-time punishment. You learn from it. I explained to him, and then you go from there. It's all about communication, explaining to your kids, educating kids.
Yo, I got a memory like an elephant, Darwin. You don't give 2 craps about no homeless. Didn't you ump that pistol on that homeless dude that was in your shed? Did you care to find out what his... Yeah, Hank. Yeah. Wait, did you care to find out his situation before you went in the house and got that smoke and then threatened him? Huh? You remember that, don't you, Darwin? And then you said you would give what? My man.
He didn't. Let me respond.
Am I lying on you?
Let me respond. He didn't appear to me as he didn't appear to me as homeless. He actually had a home. His home was my shed. He was breaking and entering. So he appeared to me as a criminal, not a homeless man. So one fallacy superseded the other one. So what I took the one that had the most impact on my life, not his homelessness, but his threat to my household and my, my well-being. So he was a criminal to me. Now, if he had not broken into my yard and kept repeatedly breaking into my shed and sleeping in there, then I would look at him as homeless. But he had a place to live, so he didn't come off as homeless to me.
You just said you established.
But even if he was homeless, if he's breaking into your
pain. You're on probation right now. Let me go through this. Can I go through this workbook with him? So you establish
pages, Kenny. Then we got to get to the next topic. 1 or 2 pages in the workbook, and then we got to get to the next.
Me on the hand, Precious.
Come on, fill in the blank something.
I see you slap me on everything was just filled out right there. He said his place of residence was my shed. I didn't care to have a conversation with him find out his plights. I just took him as a danger.
No,
In my mind, the
Like
next
you
thing
said,
for me to
he's
do is
on
go
the
grab my
shade.
pistol and let him
Hink
know what it
gonna
is.
give him his
He didn't
son's
care to have a
toy.
conversation.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
thank
man.
you. Thank you for just muddling what I was trying to get off in my 120. We got
Okay.
directives to follow, right?
I'm sorry.
Did you read? Come on,
Yeah,
clear them
okay,
goggles.
okay, I'm
So
sorry,
now
man.
I'm
Go ahead.
holding you to what you said. You ain't giving nothing to nobody. You had a homeless dude that took residence in your shed because he ain't had nowhere else to go. So let's stop. Let's stop with the word salad. Did you care to find out his situation? Did you call? Remember, Hank, hold me the truth. Did you call, services to find out if he's mentally challenged or anything was going on with him? You said you chose to handle it. You didn't call police or nothing. You chose to be Clint Eastwood.
I chose
You
to be
understand?
I chose to be the provider and protector of my household, and
Here
I
we
didn't
go
need
with this.
anybody. Hold on,
You need to run on the
I didn't
trunk.
need no.
Nice.
I didn't need no local officials to help me. It was something that I felt.
So
Hold on, you gotta.
that shows.
Hold on, you gotta let.
So,
You gotta let me respond. I chose to handle it as a man, as a protector of my own household, and I didn't need any outside external officials to help me with it. If I did need them, I would have contacted them. And additionally, you're talking about I didn't have the conversation with him, or I didn't think to find out what was his situation. He didn't think to have a conversation with me or ask me for help. He violated my privacy. He violated my property. He broke into my private property and stayed there 3 times. The third time, that's when I pulled out the hammer. I've warned him twice. He could have came to me the second time and say, hey, look, the reason why I apologize for what happened last week. The reason why I came here because I ain't had a place to stay.
So
the conversation would have went totally different. But
so
you're holding it on me to have a conversation after I've been offended. Perhaps maybe it should be he who
you're a
violated me to
military
come to
man.
me.
You can be as long-winded as you want. You
Okay,
could've took him out.
go ahead.
You could have took him out. You could hit anybody else with the word salad. You're good, but I'm better. You can never get that stupidness over on me. You understand? If somebody's in my shed and I know he's in my shed, you did not deem him a threat. You supposed to be big badass bruiser. I'm gonna call you a stripper name tonight. You lift all these weights, you 6'4" and shit, and you got somebody in your shed going down there with the smokehouse. You're a military man. What was you really scared of, bruiser? Nothing. The compassion in you didn't care to find out this man's situation as for why he would even take a risk of trespassing to find a domicile within your yard for 3 days. My common sense would say, hey, maybe this man ain't got nowhere to go. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call the necessary services. I'm going to contact the authorities. I'm not just going to go out there with the smokehouse. Because God forbid it got unruly. Okay, yeah. If it got unruly, I'm not having nobody unless I'm really protecting my family on my conscience.
Didn't get unruly because I did my job as a protector.
You didn't get unruly. You told us. I listened. I took notes. You
That
didn't get
guy's
unruly.
living.
You felt big Billy badass. You went with the 4-4, the long joint that you pull out for days out your pants, and you were like, what's up?
Oh my God, man, where are you coming from, Kenny?
You understand?
Bro,
Mind your
I'm a
business, all
protector.
paint, shine your glasses.
No,
It's about time. It's about time. You got no consideration. You're this panel's Carlos Miller. Just say it. Just eat it, live it. I respect that. Listen, Darwin, you have a right to be the way you are. First Amendment. You ain't bowling fire in a crowded house. But don't honeycoat shit. It still tastes like shit.
I had the right to protect my property and I exercised it.
I'm protecting my property. He was no threat to you, man. Keep it a buck.
Anybody who
we brothers. Hold on. I got issues with you, but we brothers. He was no threat to you. There was no need for you to pull that thing. You about like 6'9", 10. Well, I was 6'4".
He gets tall every time.
Huh? He was a little man, wasn't he?
All right, guys.
5'7", 5'7".
All right, so that was colorful.
Go ahead, Precious, save us, please. Save from this mess.
Thank you, Jason DeBro. I think I'm saying that right. I hope I'm saying that right. Frenchie K. Thank you so much for the Cash App. I appreciate you. Guys, if you're enjoying the show, definitely hit the like button, share this live. We are only one video in. Okay, we have a few more to
Oh
go.
my God.
Right? Grab a drink and settle on it. So this next video that I'm going to show, I actually posted it on my Instagram page. If you don't follow me, Real Precious Official on Instagram. But this one caused a little bit of a commotion. Everybody knows about this balloon popping show that causes a hoopla whenever the clips come out. There are some people who feel as though that they highlight the same kind of women. I personally feel like these shows are not scripted. You come on here and you pop your balloon if you like, if you don't like the guy. But this one was a little different because this guy had everything she wanted except one thing.
I didn't pop my balloon because I kind of wanted to know more about you too. So I guess my question is, you mentioned something about like building together or growing together. I don't know if that means you wanted to go 50-50 or you just, I don't know.
I like my women to be a little bit more comfortable. If you want to work, you can work.
Okay.
I want to take care of home. That's just how I was raised.
And do you have children?
I do have children.
Okay. And so how much do you make a year?
About 75 to 95, depending. That's how the work goes.
Okay, I'm just gonna pop my balloon because I just feel like that's not enough for me. But I feel like everything else was good,
Okay, so 75 to 95,000 a year is not good enough. It's not
No, I'm not saying it's not good enough. It's just I was looking for something different.
Okay, what were you looking for as far as income wise?
I thought it was gonna be like 100,000 and more because he owns his own company, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Let me say it like this. It fluctuates. I've been owning my own business for about 3 years. It's been 110, then it's been 95, and it's also been 75. So, it fluctuates. But I do moving services. Not everybody moves every year.
All right, so he wasn't enough for her, but if he made 100K, he would have been good enough for her. Did you guys see this clip before?
I did.
I've seen it come across, but I never clicked on it.
I seen it. I think he dodged the bullet.
Mm-hmm.
He dodged the bullet. Listen, this is why the white girls have all those all those professional basketball players and football players because they ain't waiting for the finish line. I never ran a business nowhere near that big, but if you have a business that pays you anywhere like $75,000 to $95,000 a year, that shit's on its way. After 3 years, that business is on its way.
Yes.
And she couldn't even see that. So she, you want me to work with you, and all she is thinking that we going 50-50. He doesn't know how big of a bullet he dodged, and the fact that he even entertained her after she said that means that he's got some kind of scallywag with him now because he don't know the difference. I'm telling you, she would have disqualified herself with me from the beginning just by saying that. So, because I'm gonna end it here because 120 seconds. Any man who finds a woman who says that she doesn't want to contribute to the family or the future because he's making money, no matter how much money he's making, is not a good catch.
Get rid of it.
I'm not gonna sit down and watch you make money and I'm gonna go toil and you're gonna be eating bonbons and shit like that, fooling around with the pool boy. It's not gonna happen. So I'll leave it there. Who was under 120 seconds? Who beat me up?
Arcane Airlines, you are cleared for landing.
I would.
120 seconds. You got to get a clock.
I would say she was uneducated, and I think it's on the man to educate the women in this situation instead of just write them off. I get it. Knowing whether you make 100K, that's one thing. But how much you have left over after expenses and all this other stuff matters. So knowing how much you make doesn't really matter. It's how much you have left over. So if I make 100K and I'm living, you can very well live paycheck to paycheck making 100,000. You can make 75,000 and have a lot of money left over. It all depends on the lifestyle. Also, it depends on the demographics. If you make 100K in DC, that's not a lot. But if you make 100K in fucking Mississippi, That's good. Even 65,000 in Jackson, Mississippi is great. So it all depends on the demographics and the lifestyle of the person. So I often tell guys not to tell the woman the digits. If she asks you how much you make or whatever, just say you make enough to be able to provide for a family. And providing for a family is what, if that's what you do, typically that usually men who do that, it comes from a family tradition. It's like a legacy thing. If you can do it and you want to do it, then you should do it. But if you feel like your woman needs to work, then you got to find a woman that's willing to partner up with you. But I think at this point, it should have been an education moment. He should have told her, he probably could have got her balloon back by saying, hey, look, I get what you're saying, but look, I got enough money left over to be able to provide for you and the family if we had one. I think you misinterpreting the actual salary figure. It's not that case. And I think a lot of women lack that education. And that's why when I get into like these coaching sessions and stuff, I start to find those things out. But I'll yield.
Well, but can I ask one question? Bruce, you think he should, after what she said and what she did, he's supposed to give her a second? Let me just ask him a question, man.
Well, yeah. After what she said, would have been it would have been an opportunity to shed light on something that's been a misconception. A man having compassion and saying, hey, look, here. And then other women would have been like, oh, okay, I'm glad he did that. Maybe we can start thinking differently about it.
Okay, so it wouldn't be for her necessarily, just be for the teacher.
It would have been for the whole this space.
I get where you're coming from on that. She's lost. Thank you.
So, okay, so let me go ahead and answer. As a man, why should I teach a woman who doesn't belong to me? That's not my job to teach her on the first date. That's not my job. My job on the first date is to get the info, the intel that I need to figure out whether I'm going to be with this woman or this is going to go any further than where it's going to go. She screwed herself. She showed her hand way too early. That's her lack of foresight. A lot of women have a lack of foresight. They don't see what's out there for real. They not looking at the big picture. They got blinders on. They can't see with the periphery, all things around. That's why they need a man such as myself to lead them and help guide them and to show them and to train them. There's a reason why, because she doesn't have the force. She was just looking at one thing, one aspect. Oh, you ain't like the hunch. So she allowed $5,000 to get her out of the situation. Then so be it. Like that's the one time I'm agree with all pain today is that he dodged a bullet. Now, to me, he probably entertained her way too long. Once she said how much money he make, he should have popped the boom his goddamn self and shouldn't have said a damn word about how much he made because it's none of her goddamn business. It's none of your business for me to publicly say how much I make. That's not her business. That shouldn't even been a question she should have asked. You know what I'm saying? That's too much information for her on the first date. So again, my man dodged the bullet. You know, fortunate for her, she eliminated herself by popping her own balloon. I'll be curious about what these other ladies said or what was the other ladies' drawback. But he dodged the bullet big time with that one. So.
Yeah, I get it. I just have I'm in the education phase of what I do as content, and I could easily just say screw her, she for the streets. But now it's coming to a point where that's kind of becoming redundant, and we got to figure out a solution to this. So I think that was an opportunity to educate her. You didn't have to accept her, but it would have been a time to educate her. Perhaps maybe the next man she approached and she get that thought, it'll dawn into her that maybe that's not a good reason to ask it. Now I have an understanding on why it's not good to ask that question or use that as a deal breaker.
That's gonna be your next video, Darwin.
That's her daddy job to educate her. That's who.
Yeah, but then you got to concentrate on whether she got a father in her life.
In her life. That's who should have educated her. It's not my job as a man who's just out here trying to find the right woman to educate her. Now, if she was my woman, then I'll be willing and open to educate her. But she eliminated herself when she made her mistake.
That's my job. I've took it upon myself to take that responsibility from here on out. It's to be the father of these lost women and try to guide them back in so we won't have to fly away and find women from other countries. Somebody got to do it.
So you won't send the white flags out for the heifers. Is that what you're saying?
I said I'm going to educate them and help them. I mean, regardless of where you want to twist it, these black women are our women. You know, they are women. We could sit here and say fuck them, or we could try to figure out how to.
I don't want more than one. I got one, and that's all I need.
I
That
mean,
is not
I
my
get
job.
that.
Hold on. You're not willing to help the homeless, but you're willing to save these hoes.
Oh God.
I told you what I would do with the homeless. Didn't I tell you I opened up my tailgate,
Yeah,
gave
you
them
said
water.
you will help your immediate family. That's what you said.
I
But
said as
the
far as
extended,
cash,
you're not willing to.
I said as far as cash, I'm not handing these women cash. Education, I think education is way better than handing these women a Birkin.
Man,
I mean,
I don't understand you, man.
just think about it. Just think about it. If we would educate these sisters instead of just shoot them down and send them to the wolves.
But see, that's the problem. They're not willing to listen to the men. They're not willing to listen to hard ankles. They barely listen to each other. What makes you think they're going to listen to you?
I've had them listen to me, man. I'm getting results of it. This is the reason why I'm so grounded in it, because I've been getting results. They're listening, but you have to come from a place to where you wanna have some type of passion to actually teach them and show them the way. You don't gotta fuck them. You just show them, hey, look, this is how you can get it done.
Now that's and see, I think that's the problem. I think elder women should be teaching these young women, and elder men should be teaching the young men. That's
I
how it
believe
should
that.
be. That's how it's supposed to be, and that's how it needs to be. As far as trying to teach a man, it's not our job to do that. That's what the
So
mothers and the
if we're gonna be
grandmothers did.
legal,
The fathers should have taught them when they was young, when they was adolescents.
shouldn't the
That's
women
where it
look
should have
to
started at in the home.
shouldn't women look to the black man, black women specific? Let's say that to the black man to lead them out of this.
No,
I believe so. We look to the black man as our leaders. Now every black man is not going to assume the position to lead you because you're not his woman, but
if he's capable, shouldn't he educate?
yes, I believe everyone should educate if you have the capacity and you are qualified to do so.
We can look
But
at that as giving back, right?
and I hear what Darwin is saying, because a lot of women will say, well, a lot of women do yearn for that education from the man, and then you do have men that's like, well, you're not my woman, so I'm not going to educate you. However, we're all in the same community, so you don't necessarily have to be someone's significant other to educate them, but it goes with the patience and the type of nurture you want to have for your community, not necessarily another woman who is not yours. So I get what Darwin is saying, and good luck to you. And I hope that you have a lot of success with it, because tonight we're talking about family business, and the way that it's going, we won't have no families in the next 5 to 10 years. There will be nothing that will resemble family. So I appreciate you for being that voice in this space.
Appreciate that, Press. I gotta head out though. I appreciate everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us, Darwin. Join us
All
again.
right, now.
Have a good night. World class, how are you, sir?
I'm sorry.
I'm not. Come on, light skin guy, enjoy yourself. I'm doing great. How you doing?
Welcome to the panel. I appreciate you for being here. What did you want to add to this conversation before we move on to the next slide here?
Well, kind of on the topic. With respects to what the young lady said, I think you continue to let them disqualify themselves with stuff like that. I mean, it's a weird. I've spent years in financial services, and just to hear people just rattle off 100,000, freaking what, 16 years after I was educated on what 100,000 was, because I was from the hood, I didn't know what the hell that was. It's just weird, man. It's just sad that in 2024, financial literacy is just as needed as it was in the 70s and 60s. It really doesn't matter what you gross, because you don't even touch it and you taxed on it. Then it really only matters is, how much you're earning from what you put away. Then that's dictated by your experience and lifestyle. So with the consumerism, the way it is today, it's just weird to hear it. That everything else the guy was saying qualified for her, but just because he didn't hit that popular number, which don't really mean as much as it used to 10, 15 years ago. It's just, I don't know. It's weird. It's pretty weird, man. It's sad. But I also think I agree with Hank. I don't think it's my job to put on a financial literacy seminar in the middle of a show just for her. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I see what Darwin was saying, but that wasn't the right time for that.
Yeah.
You know, she just missed out on a good thing, and
Yeah.
a lot of times women have to miss out on a good thing to realize that there's not that many good things. Um,
Mm.
and you know, as far as their exchange, I thought he did a really good job at educating her enough to where at least they could go like on a first date, because I, is it a first date that happens after
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
balloon, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I believe he gave enough for her to take that information and be like, okay, he's definitely worthy of a date. He's definitely worthy of going out and talking to more. You know, how's he scaling the business? Who does he have working with him? What are the projections for the night? Like, there was so much conversation that she could have went in with him, but because he didn't say 100K right there on the spot, she popped her balloon. And there were some people that were saying, you know, well, he has children and he's in business, and so it may not be enough to take care of you know, a family per se. But out of his own mouth, he said, you know, I would want my woman to be comfortable. So whether she had to work part-time or he was making a way and he was breaking his back to make that way for her to, you know, not have to work, it seems as though that's his plan anyway. You know, it's almost like she wasn't listening to the plan that he was literally unfolding
Mm-hmm.
for her
Mm-hmm.
as we were talking.
Mm-hmm.
She
Yeah.
just didn't see it.
She wasn't looking. She just wanted to hear what she wanted to hear. That's the thing that's sad about it, is that she's waiting for a narrative, like a story. And I think he was clear, like you just said. No, that's how the business is. Some one
Right.
minute it's 75, it's that it fluctuates. So she not one of them people that want to ride. You know, she just want to show up at the yacht party and get the wedding ring in front of everybody. So he dodged a bullet, like Payne said.
Yeah, he definitely dodged a bullet with that one. And
What
it's sad because it looked like all of them popped their balloons and she was the last one. I want to say that's what it looked like. That's what it looked like.
Precious, would you qualify that last gentleman as a bad boy, just on looks?
A bad, when you say bad,
Bad, yeah,
like
the
looking
typical.
bad or
No. Like, I don't want to say thug, but because it's super general, like any race type of, it's kind of like a general term for any culture. When he come off as a, yeah, I guess that's like the general term, bad boy or
huh?
rebel.
No, he comes off
I know.
as one who either was raised well. If he wasn't raised well, that means he was self-taught or he got the knowledge that he needed to be on the, you know, correct trajectory to do well for himself and a family. And because he does have children, he has people to live for. Like,
And then
you know, he had people to work for, people to live for, someone to leave a legacy to. So these are just all things that she just wasn't thinking about. Seems like a well-mannered man.
I asked because I appreciate that. I asked because he looked like a nice guy, and there's this thing going around where they're saying women don't want bad guys, bad boys, or rebels, and I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, I think you need to check history a little bit, because that's guys like him just get overlooked every
Yeah.
day. You know what I'm saying? Nonstop. They be they always whining about they want a good guy, they want a good guy, the guy right there in front of all of them women, and they're gonna go to the ones that's gonna do them wrong, and then complain or whatever, fabricate the story until them guys don't become the bad boys or whatever. But it's just, I don't know. All you can do is look at life and you see the results. But it's like, as a male, even with the other dude that got all the plumber guy, it's like, I don't know. I guess they just want a sob story. They want a story like that to be a victim. I guess it's weird. I don't know.
I just don't think that they are ready for the discipline that he's putting in, because who you're with is a mirror. You're a mirror of who you're with, right? And so he's going to need somebody that is driven, that's trying to grind with him, that's like, okay, what do you need me to do? You got this over here. What do you need me to do? Right? And she's just not that woman. And so he needs a woman that's going to match his fly when it comes to um, professional longevity, the future. He needs someone like that, and that woman is just not that. She wants to walk into an already made situation, and you're not going to get that unless you're dealing with a ball player, maybe somebody that's in the industry, music wise and things of that nature. But this man is literally building, which means that he has so much room to grow, and she's just not seeing that potential at all.
I just want to say this one thing, and I'm gonna shut up. I just don't see, I nor hear, definitely don't hear any women saying anything consistent with the life of a man that is successful or working to be successful. Like I heard the actual King Smith say earlier, 18-hour days. I mean, told me you 16-hour days or 18 months. That's what you kept telling me. That's what it takes to get it done. 16-hour days for 18 months. And I haven't, not one of these chicks, I've heard them say, yeah, I'm prepared. I know how to manage that schedule or that week, whether you got children or not. None of that stuff come out their mouth. So it's not even, and then we watched the Kevin Samuels videos. I want this $100,000 earner. I want the $1 million earner. And nothing that's consistent with supporting. They don't even know who these people are. It's just I don't know, whatever the equivalent is to a stereotype or whatever. It's just like I don't know, pipe dream or a fad to say I want $100,000 earner, $1 million earner, or something like that. Just so you look like you want more to another girl that's not going to marry you, that's not going to protect you, that can't give you babies, that can't make you X dozen Y, which is weird and goofy at the end of the day. And it's just a sickness that need to be cured at some point or we doomed.
Some of them going to die off. Um, it's sad that she can't appreciate. And I was talking about this last Monday when we were talking about, women want to be equal as men. Well, all you really got to do is appreciate the man for what he's doing. You don't have to be equal to him. You just have to appreciate him for what he's doing. And that obviously went, straight past her. And, good help is hard to find. So if you have a man that's willing to work with his hands and employ people, or he's moving. Who likes moving? I hate moving. Okay, so he's doing the job that a lot of people do not like to do. And that is someone that you should appreciate, someone that does deserve, a hot cooked meal and a bath ran and things of that nature. So when he gets home, he can relax. But she just is not that woman. She's not. But also when women don't see that, these women want 100K men because they have not seen a man in a home work hard and come home and see how a woman takes care of him and appreciates that work.
Right.
They're just ready to, want this 100K and go spend the money when the work needs to be done in a home. Like, are you making the house a home? So I think that is a lot of women's problems, that they don't see how to cultivate and appreciate the man as he's working hard. So you actually do have the ability to stay home. My mom did that. She worked. My mom worked at the post office. My dad worked corporate America. But after a while, she ain't work no more. Okay. But even when she worked, she still made sure he was taken care of. So I don't, to think that you're going to get with a man and not do anything, I don't know what planet.
You would think it would be automatic for a woman. You would think it would be automatic for a woman that want to be with a man that, just because she's with him and she loves him, she'll take care of him. Not, I don't want to be nobody's mother. And I work too. This, that, third, fourth. It's okay. All right, well,
we're going to get into that. We're going to get into women and communicating. Anybody else want to hone in on this topic, though?
A lot of women don't want to be there for the struggle, but they want to be there for the result. And that's pretty much what I got from the back and forth. Noble chiming in, respect. Precious as thoughts. I would have asked the question if I was that brother. Yeah, I got kids. This is what you require. What do you have to offer? And just hold it to it right there, right then and there. Get it out the way. Because a lot of women, I don't want it to be screwed up the minute of the cookie. A man will give his whole life and everything to you if he knows that he can trust you, that you are there for him. You're his rib. You're his everything. Women that come with these requirements, you want a Birkin bag, you want some Jimmy Choos, what you want? You're not good with 4 chicken wing fried rice no more, huh?
I am.
Tell me. Yeah. Tell me what's going on with you. They would lay down their whole resume, give you enough ammo for you to say, I bid you a good night. Because that's not what I'm looking for. I digress.
Hey man,
I'll
Kenny, you're
add
right,
something.
man. You know what? I appreciate that. Finally, you said something I agree with.
Yeah.
There's something that Frenchie put in the chat. Said, fellas, when you encounter a woman like that, just move along. No need to bash or pop off on them. Find you a woman who sees your value. And that's where I stand. The thing that I counsel people on, or men, and tell them is that it's not you shouldn't waste extra effort to qualify yourself to anybody, right? You come at them how you are, and you let them you allow them to either see your value or disqualify you, however you want to say it. And to what R. Payne said, she did that man a favor by saying that, what he made wasn't enough. So yeah, don't go out of your way to qualify yourself for anybody. Bring your value, show it, and either they'll accept it for what it is, or they can keep it moving.
Real quick, King. In part, I agree. Sorry about that. Let me get this out the way real quick. You're passive aggressive. You don't want problems. You want quick results, peaceful results. You protect your peace.
Correct.
But sometimes certain females need to be made example of in front of the village.
Why?
I'm tired because there's a complicitness within girl code. There's a complicitness within society that these women get a pass. They should be shamed. The most disrespected creature on this earth is a black man. Go back to William Baldwin. When he said it about blacks. Look at how black men are treated nowadays. And I'm not talking about any other, how we're treated, especially by our own women, the one that we have the social contract to protect. And this is not dogpiling or beating up women. I said this on somebody's IG. No. Don't let them escape. Those are the people that tried to steal a ham in the Western beef. Take a picture of them. Put them up on the wall until they correct such habits. They should not be allowed to walk within our community and affect other women that think that is okay. They should be shamed for that behavior until they get it right.
By who?
The community, the men that they do it by. There is a pecking order. You're not biblical. I remember you said you non-denominational or agnostic or whatever it is, respect. In my world, there's a being above me. There's man, woman, and child. That's a corrective action. And we need to do it more, because you tell me, King, if that same woman that was out of line was in harm's way and you was walking down the street, you just going to walk by and let whatever's happened to her happen to her? If she's in harm's way and someone is doing something to her, that same woman that you discarded, that had no respect for you, would you just walk by and let whatever's happening to her occur, or would you step in?
It's a very dependable question.
Are you really thinking that long about it?
Yeah, it really depends. Am I by myself? Is my daughter with me? Is the person coming at her?
Okay, take
And
your daughter
he's
out
got
of
the
the
gym, and he's got the
respect.
jammy. I don't. You know what
You
I'm
are
saying?
there.
That question depends.
You know what? I gotta respect it because not everybody's cut from that cloth, King. I digress.
Well, I said it earlier. I'm not going to educate no woman that doesn't belong to me or that I have no really strong ties to. I shouldn't be teach. I'm not going to teach her no lesson. My lesson I'm going to teach her is I'm going to leave it at the restaurant. That's my lesson to her. By ignoring her and keep it moving, I'm not going to tell her why I disqualify because it's not my place to tell her. You need to go back and tell your daddy to educate you. Or talk to your granddaddy or your uncle, somebody in your family on how to deal with and address and talk to a man. Because it's obvious you didn't get the lessons during the class. You must have barely passed with a D. Shame on them for passing you with that D. That's their fault. I'm not the one to give you education on this. It's not my job to do it. Let another sucker handle you. I'm not him.
I know.
Yeah, I think some women need to be cussed the fuck out. It's just something I'm just need to be cussed out. You know, but like the chick with the blue with the plumber guy talking about. I don't consider myself very argumentative, and I don't like a man to argue back with me. So it's like just like in the hood, man. If you know it's a nigga that you can just keep slapping up, and you can take your money from him. I mean, you can take his money from him. There's no consequences. If that's their weapon as women to run their mouth and be disrespectful, like again, if a man, they'll have these same women say that he verbally abused me. It's abuse when words are said to you, but it's not abuse when you say words of that same nature to somebody else. Please. And I disagree with Kimmy. The most disrespected person on earth are black children. They get disrespected and cussed out and hollered at all fucking day. All day. We get hollered at and cussed out and demeaned and doxxed when we want some vagina or we got to deal with them and grow in the adult time. They get disrespected all day. So they be doing the same stuff that they complain about us to these children every damn day. And the second somebody bark back at their asses, then it's bashing. So what the hell is it when you're doing it to the child all damn day? Oh, okay.
Emotional abuse. All right. Hit that like button, family. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Is everyone going on this topic?
Yeah, we're good.
Dang, I saw your your
Yeah, is
fly.
that you trying? Yeah, I just thought that maybe that you trying to fight that beetle off.
I just keep hearing like, oh my gosh, where is it? All right. So we're gonna go on to the next slide. This one is about marriage. So we slide right on into the family part of the show. The last couple of clips are going to be about family. You guys, if you have not liked the video, like the live, excuse me, definitely hit the like button. Share this live to those who may need help navigating through family matters because we're about to talk about family now. The first slide we're going to get into on this family matter subject, though, is a statistic that I'm sure that everyone in this space and these squares right here are very aware of just because of the nature of what we're talking about. And this is what we talk about a lot in this space, but it does lead into the next two slides that I'm going to show. But it's talking about Black couples having the highest divorce rates in the US this year at 30.8. Second comes Latino couples at 18.5 and white couples at 15.1. Says Black adults have the highest divorce rate and the lowest marriage rate. However, according to research, they also marry at later ages, 32 for men and 31 for women. Black women are the only group amongst other races with a number of divorces higher than the marriage rate. In 2018, there were 31 divorces among Black population and 17.3 marriages per 1,000 people. Black adults also make up the largest share of the never married group. Notably, 79% of 25 to 29-year-old Black women and 18% of 55-year-olds were never married as of 2016. So this is a stat that I'm sure everyone on the panel is aware of, right? I'm sure that you guys have heard about this stat. Highest divorce rate, lowest marriage rate. Men are marrying around 32, if that now. We're going to get into that in the last slide, but if that. Women marrying at 31. But it says Black women number of divorces are higher than the marriage rate. So Black women are leaving at a higher rate than they're actually getting married, which is not hard to believe because we know women do initiate that divorce, monetary reasons. But the question I have for you guys is, what story does the numbers tell about the future for family? After you hear these numbers, marriage rates, things of that nature, what story does it tell about the future for family in our society as we know it?
I guess I'll go. Family, the Black family is now obsolete. That's it. Everybody's a independent consumer. That's the future. Well, actually, that's the present. That's just what's going on because can't nobody tell her shit. And when she's disrespectful, you got this movement of letting her be disrespectful and don't bash her. So that's not going to stop. And like myself, it's few and far in between. So, yeah, that's just, I mean, the numbers is the numbers. When these numbers are brought up, I've watched women just say it's just the men nonstop. And I always interrupt that lie with, again, what type of mothers are you? You've had custody at a rate of 60 to 90. I'm sorry, what is it? 82 to 90% for the last 60 years. So automatically the word that popped up in my head when I looked at the numbers is maturity. You want to be responsible way later. You can't stay and you have no staying power in anything. And that's just either way. If you talk about man or woman, it doesn't really make a difference. You look at those numbers, just the maturity level is just really low. Then you have the women in particular, because it's 2 million more of them than it is us. You're leaving a marriage more than you even getting married at this point. But we see this day in, day out. It's a false sense of control to walk away or leave something. Right? It's a false sense of control. I'm going to just have an attitude and I'm going to storm out. They do it for the quick, stupid little scene. And then you leaving out, and then what? You don't learn anything. You don't get better. So it's the same move over and over again. You're just running from responsibilities and you're running from criticism because the value system and the mindset and the lack of true culture, because we do have culture, but we don't have true culture that's based off principles that survived the millenniums. We just into whatever's new. So the maturity level is extremely, extremely low. Everybody got to put on a costume to be them. And the biggest problem, I'll say this and I'll be done, it's the identity issue that our consumer experience has replaced our human experience. And the problem is that our people all they are is what's on that receipt. Everything is a lick now. Everything is what can you get from a cheap over-the-counter transaction or Amazon transaction, and you can't be no more than what that receipt or that invoice say you are. And that's what they running from relationships to get the next thing that's popping, so you can feel like you got a lot because you paid a lot for somebody else's dream. And it's just goofy. It's not going to stop no time soon.
So pretty much saying the Black family is obsolete. Consumerism has taken over.
Mm-hmm.
Who else would like to chime in on this? What story does the numbers tell you guys about the future for family according to those stats?
Well, I'm going to blame King with this because he's not willing to say I do again. So I'm going to put this at his doorstep. No, all seriousness. It's crazy and it's sad, really, especially amongst our people. You hate to see this, because there was times where we was the highest, and now we're the lowest. And it's disturbing. It really is, that we allow it to get to this point. And I don't know if there's anything we can do to fix it. That's the crazy part about it. So I'll leave it there.
Kenny or Payne?
I'm always optimistic. I'm not going by stats, because stats could get thrown in the garbage at any point in time. When we come together and a new reckoning is realized as people, that we need to get back to something catastrophic can happen at any point in time, and then it leaves people dumbfounded that we could find what we lost from them yesteryears and yesterdays. Anytime I hear that, I hear Marvin Gaye in my head, only love can conquer hate. We've got to find a way, make things better. You know the rest of the song. And I will stay poetically romantic on that fact, while still holding a stern hand to those that wish to, throw that sweet, sugary thing in the garbage, like we can't find it anymore. It's just a correction, person to person. Touch your neighbor. Don't they say that in church? In change, huh? Touch your neighbor. Just touch your neighbor and believe. Not only believe, put some work into it. I digress.
Or Payne?
When I retired, I got on YouTube and I said, "Oh, I'd be an advocate for marriage." But after I see what it really is now, how people act, I don't know if I changed. I really am. But the people today, both men and women, especially women.
I think he froze.
Oh, that's him. I thought it was me. Shit.
I think he froze. You might have to go out and come back in, our Payne, if you can hear me.
Can you hear me? I'm back, right?
Okay.
Yeah, he's back now.
Yeah. So listen, there's two parts. There's a secular part of marriage where you just get a certificate and say we are married based on the state. And then there's a spiritual part where you have to say the vows and you make a promise to your mate and to God and to everybody in your congregation, bringing the two families together. People don't believe in the vows, so they can't do what it takes to really reinforce them, because everybody thinks marriage is a sacrifice, but it's not. It's a sacrament. It's a covenant. And you got to be willing to do that. So most people divorce now. That divorce rate they have in the Black community is because 70% of those people shouldn't be married in the first place. And I do agree that whatever we know as African Americans in this country is a dying breed. And the conditioning that we've been over the last 60 years is never going to change, because it's on autopilot. And now that Black men are starting to stand up and actually demanding something more from women than just the box, right? Women can't take that new mojo, because they've been fed for 60 years that everything they want is what they're supposed to get. And so men are starting to, we got a lot of simps out there, but the men that they want are trying not to be simps anymore. So if you marry me, you got to bring something that's of value to me as well. And men, if we're not going to get that, we're not going to marry you. And I don't have any compassion for a man who marries a woman who doesn't meet the boxes he needs, because that's his fault, because we are the gatekeepers to marriage. I correct that shit when they say men control relationships. Well, most relationships are all bullshit. If you ain't married, it's bullshit. Because both of you ain't really serious about what you're doing. Because if you were, you would put a bow on it, one way or the other. So I'm talking about marriage. Men control that. I asked a woman, and she either says yes or no. But if she says yes, and you say yes to the wrong woman, you're opening your door, your life, and everything you're willing to give to vampires. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so listen, all I'm just trying to say is, listen, you got to know that the woman you're marrying views you as a number one choice. And if she doesn't, you're making a mistake. That's what I say. So yeah, so I don't the stats are the stats, and I agree with them. And it's not getting better; it's getting worse. Just get on one panel with the young Zs and the younger millennials, and you'll see it's not getting any better. It's not. So I just managed. Thank you.
How does he do
I'm done.
We have a couple of comments that I wanted to highlight here. Kelvin Cook says, what book says it has to be the same race to make a family? I would rather be with who accepts me and my program to build a family. Time is running out. Nobody is promised tomorrow. What up, y'all?
True.
Angela Swift says, with all due respect, we've been split up since slavery. Doesn't look like it's changed too much, just minus the chains.
I disagree with that.
Okay. You want to speak on it?
Yeah, I mean, when the time was we had to be together, our families were the strongest. I mean, I've lived it. I've seen it. We had a lot of marriages from the silent generation to the baby boomers. A lot of marriages. I keep the family tree. I see it in real time. Like 80% of us were married, maybe 90%, and then Gen X's was like 55%. The millennials in the 20%, 30%, and now the Gen Zs. I don't think I have any Gen Zs in my family are married, but I have the family tree. They're having babies though. I know that because I keep the baby. As soon as they're born, I put their name, birth date, and who the father is, if they can remember.
And who their father is. Okay, we keeping a record over here. Okay?
I got a record, yeah. So I do that. I'm trying to find somebody who's younger than me to take this shit up after I'm gone, but still.
Yep. Hey, that meme right there speaks to what Arpain was talking about. That's Cam Newton. That's his fourth baby mama, Jasmine Brown. And I saw somebody construct a meme. I didn't hear her say this, so I don't know where this quote came from, but it read as Cam Newton's fourth baby mama, Jasmine Brown, said that she would rather be a fourth baby mama to a rich man than build with a regular man. And what that says to me is that people within certain cultures aren't interested in building stronger cultural values and societal norms that places a value on having and maintaining a strong marriage. And I don't see that going the opposite way and improving anytime during my lifetime, with people having the ability to meet somebody that you're in Texas, this person lives in Cali, you can Uber fly peace leave out to you, can a day smash that person, can't send her back home. I don't think it's going to change.
Yeah, the breakdown, it definitely wasn't in slavery. I mean, we were still together. The breakdown really started to happen in what 60s. I should say the 60s on up. If you understand the history, apart from I should say from feminism and all of that, but the COINTELPRO really started to work from the 20s and 30s up into the 60s. It really started to fall through. What I'm saying, with the churches and everything. It was where we supposed to got our values from, but I gotta reiterate the same thing, man. It's that place, it's that aspect that is now a joke. If you talk about your history, your culture, your hotep, and when you have child-minded people that can be easily swayed away from their stuff because somebody may call you a name that may hurt your feelings at some point, or somebody may laugh at you, that is a problem. That somebody can call you a name to make you not want to know who and what you are and what you come from, because it definitely makes a difference. Even in the median sense, where it's like, if you're trying to help somebody pick up their confidence. I'm like, look, you did this back in the day. You was able to do this. And I'm like, yeah. We was able to do this. When you're looking at your people and you say, look, y'all did this. Here go the person that did this. And they did this that way. It's not the fact that they did it. It's like, this is how you do a thing. And we should spend more energy on doing the thing this way because it worked versus this way that does not work. And when like I'm teaching my son now, when you're afraid, you have to learn a process. You don't counter fear with love. You don't counter fear with pleasure. You counter fear with knowledge. When you know better, when you know that this thing makes this noise and flashes this way because of this reason, and you're not, and we need to understand who we really are and how we really function. We operated from a science standpoint first. We wasn't fucking athletes and shit all the time running around doing shit. We just happened to be athletic because of the way we live. We looked at things from a scientific perspective. We always look at religion from a scientific perspective and being inventors and risk takers. And that is in one sentence, the culmination of 10,000 years of brown skinned people history. We test things and push things to the limits, and we don't think like that now. Everything is quick fix, instant gratification, something for nothing guarantees. And the one advantage that we can have is understanding that somebody paid trillions of dollars over a span of 100 years to get that end. You know what I'm saying? Oh shit, not the white ladies of the next generation. That's what's up. And then the babies page. Shout out to the page babies. So I mean,
I'm sorry, were you done? I apologize.
Yeah, I'm done.
It's definitely a divide and conquer. Definitely divide and conquer. From the 60s to when drugs were dropped in our neighborhoods. I feel like social media is now the new drug. Trying to see where we left off at. Here we are. Christopher Sterling says, we do have true culture. It just doesn't get passed down to the next generation. Frenchie says, it starts with bringing back the value of family. Strong family is the foundation to so many things we can do to make a comeback. I don't know. We don't value family in music, movies, comedy, or so many other mediums out there. Until we know the value of marriage and building strong Black families, then these trends will continue. Black Lexicon says, it's our women expecting all Black men to have made up for our 400 years of oppression and be equal to our male counterparts economically.
That's a good point.
Well, now that we have gotten the statistics out of the way in regards to marriage, I wanted to shift gears and bring it to this video that I saw, because a lot of things do stem from our childhood in the homes that we were raised in. And one of the reasons why marriage is probably not as beautiful as it was before, or something that people strive to do like they did before, is because of the homes or even the lack of community that we see. So I wanted to play this video to get you guys' opinion on it. It's actually two videos in one. The last video is like 10, 12 seconds. So I merged it with this video. But they're in essence talking about the same thing. Not being emotionally available to your children is emotional abuse. And I forget who was talking about it. I think it was Kenny, maybe World Class, where I say we would get to this part. But being emotionally available to your children is emotional abuse, and how this can lead to the lack of marriages.
Emotionally abusive. Not being emotionally available to your children is emotionally abusive. What does emotional availability look like? Hearing hard stuff from them. Oh, y'all quiet on this part. Because a lot of us, our parents don't know how to hear the hard stuff about them or us. And what we have to push into, well, how does that build family? Because the family is supposed to be the most emotionally safe place on the planet. If the family isn't the most emotionally safe place on the planet, then where could you go? And so in light of this, parents and family members begin, when it's time to leave the house, we stop doing practice drills and we're like, all right, you graduated. We like, holler at you later, bow. And we just let them go. And they go towards, but they're going towards what? You're pointing them towards the family interest, and you're pointing them towards God. You're pointing them towards the thing. You're letting them go. And as you're pushing them, your work that you did in the home was you building their direction. So when you finally fling them out of the household, you can trust in what God has graced you and the extended family to invest in them to be the best people that they can be.
There was this TikToker who called this phenomenon of, what did she call it? Dishonest. Oh man, I can't remember. It was dishonest harmony. She was talking about that in regard to like Gen X and boomer parents who, you know, they want to have dishonest harmony, meaning like, you know, yes, we're all lying to ourselves about what's really going on here. Yes, we're all in denial about what's really going on here, but can't we just all pretend and stay in harmony with each other? Why do you always have to bring all this stuff up? Let's just be in denial together. It's fun here. Dishonest harmony. I love that.
All right, so we went to one video into another in regards to the lack of emotional availability that children are pretty much getting at home. So I wanted to, let me see here. I wanted to play that first video one more time so we can get into it.
Not being emotionally available to your children is emotionally abusive. What does emotional availability look like? Hearing hard stuff from them. Oh, y'all quiet on this part. Because a lot of us, our parents don't know how to hear the hard stuff about them or us.
All right, I'll stop right there. So emotional availability and not being able to hear the hard stuff, right? So the relationship you have with your parents is the first relationship that you're going to have. And then your relationships stem from there. So just for everyone who is on the panel right now, am I missing somebody? Is it okay? Okay.
Yeah, I think he said
as far as hearing the hard stuff, right? Are you guys parents, or have you had parents where you were able to tell the hard stuff too? Are you the parent that is able to hear hard stuff from your children?
Well, yeah, I've made that a point. I've been arguing that for, I don't know, my son is 8. I've been arguing that for 15 years. Having those conversations with your children, because when you're being a mentor to younger dudes, that you like, well, you never had this conversation. Oh, I don't know how to deal with this because nobody ever said this. Your mom never, your dad never. No. So I've been advocating for those hard conversations. But let's go into what he said. Like he said, what does it look like? What does it look like when you can't take those hard questions, or you can't take that criticism from your child? It is one word. It's called dismissiveness. Mm-hmm. You have a habit of being dismissive. What happens is when your child is watching you be dismissive, because for some reason I think people forget that children are human beings too, and they're going to mimic what you do. So when it comes to real criticism, when they're in school, when they're being coached, when they have girlfriends and boyfriends and they're being criticized, for that girlfriend or boyfriend to still want to be with them when they end up being 15, 18, 20, 21, they are going to be dismissive. That dismissiveness over time is disrespectful. That disrespect over time turns into anger. That anger over time can turn into hate. Now, we are very into that, and there's things that even go further than that. And that is what we see now. That it is systematic arrested development. When you have dismissiveness systematically in the household, because, and this is key now, a lot of people are having children because they want to have that thing that can't tell them no anymore. And you have this child that can't tell them no. You definitely don't want to hear your criticisms and your no's from that thing that just happens to come out of that woman's vagina that you put in there. You know what I'm saying? And that creates a these children that we see today, these adults that we see today, the errands that we see today, the plumber guy that is abusive and all this other stuff that they said he is, right? And nobody wants to deal with the true root causes. What are we as parents? And this is one of the main things, not being able to communicate. Luckily, I had an uncle who used to always tell me communication is the key. Communication is the key. Now, the family was still bad at it, but it's stuck, you know? So my son always asks him stuff. Always ask him stuff. 95% of the time when I initiate and say something, anything on your mind, they say no. Then out of nowhere, out of just happening to get in the car, he'll just say something to me. He'll just ask me a question. He'll just bring it up on his own. And we have that full conversation. I give him my full attention. Because those are the opportunities where that emotional availability, I don't like the word emotion, but the emotional availability, it's specifically an opportunity for them to develop their reasoning and their processes. So they develop and process stressful information in a healthy way and a productive way, or in a way that allow you as a parent to assist them later. And I think it's a good thing that he brought up. I do the best I can to bring it up a lot, but a lot of people don't want to talk about it because I think it starts them down the road of trauma. But definitely a good topic.
Thank you. Thank you. And then, like what you were saying, it leads into that dishonest harmony.
Yeah.
Because now we acting like everything okay. Now we're not really talking about things, and we're just glossing it over and just not addressing the elephant in the room, and that's exhausting. Go ahead, Hank. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, what I was going to say, having that, I guess, tough conversation with your child is really humbling. I mean, I remember when I had to tell my son why me and his mother was getting divorced. The disappointment in his face was it was a gut punch. But I had to be honest and upfront with him. And if there's anybody he wanted to blame or needed to blame, I felt like blaming. He got to put that on me because I made a selfish decision. Another time is when I had to have a tough conversation with my father about him not doing him the same way he did to me, by letting me down, not being there for me, and all of that, and sharing that with him, my father. Now, I'm sure he didn't like hearing that. I'm sure he felt some type of way. But he was open to listen because he realizes we need to go and get this shit out of the way. It need to be said, and let's go and get over with. And he was willing to listen. So I give him credit for that. It's kind of funny. Me and my lady had a conversation. She lost her father, and my father is still alive, and we was like almost comparing the relationships. But when you can have these hard and tough conversations and be honest with the individuals who are special in your life, whether it's your wife or your husband or your lady or your man or whatever the case may be, that's a good thing. When you could just be straight and be brutally honest and transparent and all of that. That's a rare thing. For a lot of people don't have that. I mean, some can't be honest with their own best friends. So imagine somebody who you have a intimate relationship like. But yeah, it's just one of those things. This is sometimes you just got to get that shit up off your chest.
Yeah. And definitely keeping those lines of communication open with your children too, because honestly, there shouldn't be anything your children shouldn't be able to talk to you about.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be anything that is weird or uncomfortable going to mom and dad to talk about, because they are our safety net. They are supposed to be our safe haven. And so when you don't create that space with your children, I believe it's like World Class was saying, you you are teaching them how to be distant without actually telling them to do it. Because
Yes.
you're doing it, you're indirectly showing them how to do that,
Yeah.
and you don't realize that you teach them how to be distant. Um, Yet you beg for them to be close to you. It's crazy how parents expect kids to show this love and admiration and this closeness when that's not something that they cultivate within children.
Yes. Yes.
You have to be the initiate. Parents have to be the initiators of that because the kids didn't ask to be here. Sure. It was up to them. They still be swimming around somewhere. Um, they didn't ask to be here. And so parents have to be the initiators of that. And I think, like World Class was saying, a lot of parents don't do that because then it will take them into their trauma. Now they're gonna have
Yes.
to sit with themselves and like, dang, I wasn't able to talk to my mom and dad, and I wasn't able to be very honest and open and transparent, hot with my parents. And so I don't even know how, because they indirectly taught me how to be like this with y'all.
Yeah.
So it definitely opens up the floodgates of lack that parents experience. And that's okay because guess what? Parents are human. Parents aren't robots. So it's okay to be human,
Yeah.
to the little human that you bring into this world, or that you are nurturing, or that you are um uh uh caring for. It's okay to be human towards them, because only realness is going to get your relationship to excel.
Yeah.
When you try to do the dishonest harmony, oh, you could feel fakeness. You'll know when it's not real, and when it's, we just going through the motions here.
See, Precious, like one thing that when you develop in yourself and you really working on yourself to be good in whatever ideology or principle that you live by, regardless of the religion or whatever, you get faced with the thing that I think our people are terrified of, and that's finding that you're not good enough and you're inadequate. Then you got this little face that looked like your face when you was little, and a situation happened. You also are faced with real life that, dang, I ain't good enough. I don't have it, and we respond to not having it the same way we would in a, I don't got the milk. I don't got no milk. We don't got the milk. We can't make the pancakes, or we can't make the egg. And then we just we'll get it later, and we dismiss those situations. And it's easy to do that. Like a guy named Jim Rome said, he said the same things that are easy to do are also easy not to do. So in those situations where you have to have a protocol for inadequacies in yourself. You have to have a protocol when you realize you're not good enough. That because you have to deposit that skill set to your children, like you would want and like you should do what you're supposed to do for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because this little person is you. And I think we forget that they need that just as much as you need that. And to your point, when you're dealing with these hard questions, a lot of times it comes up like, damn, I really need to deal with this thing with my mom, so I can answer this question and be there for my son. Or this situation with my dad, I don't know enough about my dad's this, that, the third, the fourth, and the fifth to get through this next stuff on my own. And you do be faced with inadequacies, and you do be faced with, damn, I'm not good enough. And it's no different from, we don't have bacon in the house, or we don't have milk in the house, so we gotta go get it. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna go and take the trip together. It's that simple. But when it hit home and it's really your life, you get scared, and that reflex, that base consciousness come up, where when those big questions came up and those big situations came up in my family, we dismissed it. We put on the facade in the face, and it's instinctual. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think it's always intentional, but this is a thing that's a major problem with our people that we got to do, because it's like, even we know in the back of our minds as we're talking about this, the biggest thing is we know who touched who and who in each one of these families, and we don't say shit, and it's stuff like that goes on and on and on, and all of the nuances with respects to that, and these hard questions, it's like they say, what is it? Price is on the other side of pain, or pain is on the other side of price. That pain that we got to go through, or the promise is on the other side of price. That the promise that we want, the things that we want to get done is on the other side of this particular pain. That I got to look like, a vulnerable person in front of this person I'm supposed to be a hero for. And then I end there.
I would agree. Angela Swift says, I think it's actually all people, all races experience childhood issues. I would say the same thing. I would say the same thing. But you know how, and I'm gonna just say this, you know how when we see the Caucasians and they be talking to each other and they might be cursing and they might be going back and forth, we be like, oh my God, I would never talk to my mom like that. Right? We would get, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't think that it's necessarily right that they talking like this. However, they're being real as possible with one another and being able to get their emotions out, being able to be like, shut up, mom. And although you probably shouldn't say shut up, mom, at least they are being raw with their emotions. And I think a lot of times in our community, we don't want to be seen as weak, or we want to be seen as the heroes to our kids, or we don't want our kids to know that we're imperfect, or we don't want our kids to know our life before we got saved. Like, you know what I mean? It's a lot of different dynamics in our community where it's like, okay, you're not perfect. So stop trying to act like you're perfect, because that's going to make me go into a direction that is a facade. It's going to make me go into a direction that's not honest, that I'm not being honest with myself. If you can't be honest with your parents, it's going to be hard to be honest with yourself, honestly, because your parents are the people who are pouring into you. Your parents are the people who are disciplining you. They're loving you and they're nurturing you in a way that they're supposed to be able to encourage you and be there for you. But
yeah,
that's not happening. Then you're not going to be able to be real with yourself, because the first people that were supposed to be real with you failed to do that because maybe they're not real with themselves. And so it becomes into a vicious cycle, and no one's wanting to step on those, those cracks in the armor where it's just like, we got to tighten up, and it's okay to get a little dirty before we clean it up. It's okay.
As I'm listening to this, man, it's crazy. Everybody, especially that last woman who believes that the world began with baby boomers and Gen Xers. When Black people were going through the shit that we had to go through, from Jim Crow, from the Greatest Generation to the Silent Generation to baby, somebody had time to be emotionally attached to the 7 and 8 freaking kids that they had. Are you kidding me? That's crazy stuff. That's only modern talk. Disharmony bullshit that this chick was talking about. The only rule I had with my kids was when they were old enough to ask, then I owed them an explanation. Right? And other than that, they had lives that most other kids didn't have. I didn't owe them to sit down and go to some emotional kind of thing with them. No, I don't agree with that at all. That's why we got all these coddled ass freaking millennials and Gen Zs who can't even fight their way out of a paper bag of challenges because they want somebody to give them all this emotional shit. Man, that's just bullshit. I'm your parent, you're my kid, and you can ask me a question, I'll answer you. And if there's something that I think that warrants a full answer, I'll give it to you. But I'm not going to sit down here and have a negotiation settlement with my damn children. That's what it sounds like. I mean, get out of here.
I don't think it's necessarily.
Can I get you?
Wait a minute. You've been talking for a long time. Let me just say a couple of things before you come here and say anything you want to say after that. I disagree, especially that last lady. And even the guy who was talking all that horse shit, man. You got to put this in context, full context, because all it sounds to me is that if your parents didn't coddle you and feel your emotional needs and shit, you're going to be a damaged human being. That's crazy. You know why? Because none of us in baby boomer land got any of that. And and when we die off, we're going to transfer the greatest amount of wealth to the new people, to the people that's left. We had technology. We had all this stuff that we put, and all people could remember is how messed up we are. It's just crazy. I mean, I just can't. Every time I hear some woman or some guy saying how bad their life is, and I'm in landed here. If I give people an account of how we lived when I was 8 years old to 12, I mean to 10, whatever it was, it'll be crazy because none of the people on these panels ever live like that. Ever.
Well, how did you live?
I mean, I just can't take it no more. But go ahead.
How did you live? How did you live when you were 8 through 12?
Well, my mother, so first of all, I grew up in Harlem. And when my mother died, I was 8. I had to move in with my cousins, right? It was around 14 of us, my grandmother, grandfather, her daughters who had husbands in the house, a couple of her daughters, her aunts, and my cousins, right? Female cousins. We had bunk beds in the room. So all 4 of us lived in that room. And my other cousin, he used to be over there all the time because both of his parents worked. So we shared one bedroom with an Irish setter. The Irish setter dog used to pee on the floor all the time. And we had roaches and everything else in the house. And we had to draw lots at the end of the day to see who slept by the wall because there was a crack in the wall. And guess what's coming out of the goddamn wall at night? All right. And then we only had one bathroom in that damn place. It was no elevator. We lived on the first floor. We had all homeless people on the ground. And we had a park across the street that none of us could go to because there was a murder in there every goddamn day. And then all of this. So our family pulled out the women in the family, by the way. I think we were blessed and we had a lot of women in the family. They pulled whatever money they had together. We moved to the Bronx because they all cleaved by their grandmother, but their mother, right? And so our life started to begin to get better, right? So all I'm just trying to say is nobody had time in that household to sit down with us and say, well, little Joe, something's wrong with it. Tell me about how you feel. We didn't get none of that shit. We didn't get none of that shit. And maybe we were damaged, but I disagree with that. I mean, it didn't start with the baby, but we came through a lot of stuff. Now we could talk about, the reason why we could talk about coddling and feelings and all that stuff with kids is because we broke away some of those chains that used to be in the past. So now people have a little bit better lives and they got a little bit more time to sit down and be more cerebral with their children. That's progress. I'll give you that. But it's not like it was a failing of the past. It's just a progress of the future. And when people reach back and say, I didn't get that from the past, I get upset at that. We gave you what we can, and we put it on you to say, okay, this is as good as it got then. How can I do better? And if you could do better with your children because you don't have that same amount of pressures that we used to have, then great, fantastic. Then my job is done, right? The only thing I thought about with my 2 girls, if I ever had kids, I said they will never see the shit that I've seen, never. And I accomplished that, and that was my whole thing. So this whole notion that we were supposed to be some emotional goddamn juggernauts is crazy. We used to have a kids' table. The parents used to eat at the big table. And we said, get the fuck out of here. Eat the little kid table over there and shut up. Here's a couple of pieces of bone. We throw a couple of bones over there and a piece of cornbread. Eat that shit. And we're going to eat the big. Listen, I hear everybody. And I just can't stand when people say all the bad shit of their future came from the people from the past, when it's the people from the past who buffered their families into the future. If it wasn't for the grandmothers and the aunts and the mothers to take those illegitimate kids, they would be on the streets. Because they had houses, they had marriage, they had an infrastructure for people to lean on. And so women were doing double and triple duties when their daughters and sons went out there and had babies out of wedlock. Nobody gives them credit for taking those kids in because the kids are innocent. So all I hear is how bad we were. It's crazy. My daughter's a millennial and a Gen Zer, right? And do we have some distance? When my oldest daughter talks to me, say, Dad, you weren't the easiest guy to talk to. I'll take a hit for that. But you know what? She's perfectly fine right now. Because we could talk about it now, right? I said, okay, maybe I was messed up. Deal with it. So I hear you. Hey, sorry, world class. I'm not cutting you off. I'm gonna end it right there. I hear what you're saying. I'm not even disagreeing with anything you said. I'm just saying that's progress. That's part of the progress of the future. It's not something to bang the people from the past with. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say this. One, I don't like the word emotions because I know what it really means. I'm not really talking about that. But what you just explained about your life and what you went through, uh, a lot of people went through that in your own generation, and they put dope in their arm and then wake up.
Yeah, they did.
And they put a gun in somebody's face, and somebody else didn't wake up, or somebody woke up to that person being out of here. So I understand it worked for you, but a lot of different situations coming up in your time, a ridiculous amount, didn't work out so well, especially in my city. You know what I'm saying? But I do understand, and my point. Okay, so like we saying evolution. So we've learned a lot about neuroscience since then, and I'm a very disciplined person. I
Okay.
got the shit beat out of me every day.
Oof.
My
Yeah.
discipline don't come from that. It don't come from that at all. It actually made me a horrible person. I used my discipline to be evil because I was getting fucked up. So as somebody that knows that doesn't work, I vowed and dove into the information that we've learned since your time, right? So I was one of those kids. I'm born in '85 who know how to use the rotary phone. I'm one of those children that I mess up down the street. I'm already in trouble before I come 2 houses up. You know what I'm saying? I was on that block with old people. Both my grandmothers live right next door to each other
There you go.
in real life. So I understand that world that you're talking about. I watched it. But what I'm saying now about this particular topic is like, if the hard questions that come up, the conversations with my son, 20, 30 seconds. I'm not sitting there calling him for 30 seconds. I'm his dad. What I say
Right.
goes. I am a no-nonsense parent. I'm a no-nonsense uncle, no-nonsense godfather. We're not playing that. It's the hierarchy is clear and set. But I understand that this little person is just like me. They just happen to come here 20, 30 years later. 20, 30 years later.
Yeah.
And their brain is developing, especially when they're little, super fast. So it's imperative, and there's a serious emphasis and a sense of urgency that is behind getting them to understand what's going on, because
I agree.
tomorrow isn't promised, and I'm the leader and I'm the wisest, or one of the wisest they'll ever talk to, and there's no guarantee I'll be here tomorrow. So I'll give you an example. My
Okay.
son recently, he just asked me, he said, Dad, why do you don't celebrate holidays, any holidays? Why does he ask me that? Because he's 7 and he wants to be involved with all the things that he sees. I say to him, because son, there's no day more important than the next day. Every day is a holiday. I treat every day like all these people celebrate the holidays. Every single solitary day is like that. And he said, okay. And we were done. I understood that he wanted to be involved in these different things, and it hurts his feelings not to be involved in these different things. But I have a principle that I gave him, and we had a quick 20, 30 seconds. He said, okay, and it's easy for him to understand because I always talk to him like that, and I always entertain his thought process because I want to guide his thinking. So I do understand the aspect of emotions. That's the word that was used. But my mindset is those opportunities.
I'm sorry for keying on that word, brother, but I'm with you. I had 2 girls, man. So I bought a book early on when I had my first daughter, knowing that I couldn't raise her like a boy. So one of the things was off the table was any sort of corporal punishment, right? Even me, old fart like me, I knew I wasn't going to ever hit my kids. And you know why? Because I never wanted my daughters to get used to a man that they love putting their hands on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was number one. They didn't need me. So I had to always be a little bit more cerebral with them than anything else. So, and I wasn't doing it on purpose. I mean, we're giving clarity to it, but I just thought it was just a natural thing to do. I mean, their mother was there too. So they had both of us. But for me, discipline was a little bit more, it was just more cerebral. Right. And so I'm with you. Like I said, I didn't mean to use the word emotions too. I know we go down a realm path, but I understand what we're talking about.
No. In the video, she said it. So I want to be clear, on what I was saying. And like, I don't hit none of my niece's nephew, son. I've never hit them not one time. My voice is enough. because they know I love them, I appreciate them. Um, and my mindset, and I tell this to them, my mindset is to earn your respect and your love today, every single solitary day. I don't take a day off. So they know I'm here for them and they know I care about them. You know what I'm saying? So if I say something to you, my words matter to you. I shouldn't have to cuss you out or yell from upstairs or threaten you for you to do what I need you to do, because you didn't have to do that for me to love you and to do what you wanted me to do for you. So the voice should matter. The voice is definitely, I don't want to say a weapon, but you know what I'm saying, that should be enough. It's more than enough. So the voice is enough when they want something. So you know what I mean? So that's what I'm talking about. I just look at those opportunities to help develop their thinking and their reasoning. I'm real big on helping them develop their inductive and deductive reasoning, because that's what's going to make the determination when you're not in the room and they're being peer pressure.
But so let me ask you something on that point, though. Do you you can agree or disagree, and you too, Precious. Do you see it as an evolutionary thing, right? As black, as bad as it is for us in the black community, there are some black people who are evolved, right? Successful, and can take care of themselves, have jobs that they're comfortable with, or businesses. So as you evolve, it doesn't stand the reason that you'll have a little bit more free space to be able to do the things, the soft sciences with your children that were not available as readily.
Yeah.
Everybody was under duress.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely. The information wasn't available as much as I completely agree with that. Yeah. So it's not a situation of fault. Oh, go ahead, first. I don't want to talk to someone. Go ahead. Say what you
No, you're good. I was gonna say yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no, right? Because your story that you explained of what you went through, you were a child in all of that. Your mom passed away. You had to live with a whole bunch of people. It wasn't a lot of space. Y'all was crammed in there. Y'all had to do what y'all had to do, and you said the words "deal with it," right? In regards to your daughters now, like, oh well, what I had to go through, like at this point, y'all should just be able to deal with certain things. Now we have information, yes. However, it doesn't take information to look your child in the eyes and hear what they have to say from their heart. A lot of things that kids say, adults will bypass and dismiss those things. And those are things that you need to hear. Those are things that parents should be hearing from their children. But because of time, because of space, because of circumstances, those things are dismissed, and they continue to be dismissed. And then you have children who grow up who say, you never listened to me. You never heard my side of the story. Every time I try to come to you with X, Y, and Z, I was being too much, or I was being extra, or I was, I was too much for you to deal with at the time. That builds up over time within a young adult, a young person turning into a young adult, then turning into an adult. Because at some point they're going to get to the point where they're so busy trying to please that parent that had to deal with all these things, and now they have to deal with it too, and they ain't asked to be here again. Now they have to deal with it too, and they compress their actual feelings with their actually thinking, and now they can't show up and be exactly who they want to be in the world, because they couldn't be at home and feel safe being at home and telling mom and dad what was on their mind or things of that nature. And then you grow up and have this generation of young adults who's like, oh no, I'm gonna say what's on my mind, because I'm not like my ancestors. We fight over here. We get radical over here because y'all didn't say anything back in the day. That was y'all fault. But now that we want to say something, now we looked at as crazy because y'all didn't want to speak up because nobody had time to actually listen, or to actually give hugs, or how many people grow up in homes and they ain't never got a hug from their mom and dad. They never got an encouraging word from the people that brung them into this life, and those kids did not get to be here.
Yeah, but is that the minority, or what is that? The norm, minor? I mean,
it's
listen, it's all this extreme to me.
To that question, it
Yeah,
is way higher than what it should be. You'd be
yeah.
surprised at how many people say their mother never told them they love them, and that they grew up with. It would surprise you when you get to
But
that
what are
question.
you talking about though? What you see now? Now we're talking about generational kind of stuff because when you were in a house, no, Precious, you're absolutely right. Those both of you guys. But all I'm just trying to say is some things sound more extreme than they really are. I don't believe that even today, with all the modern stuff, that anybody who's a kid gets everything they want from their parent. They just don't. All I'm just trying to say, if a kid has something that was on their mind that they didn't get solved when as a kid, it doesn't mean that they evolved into somebody who was damaged as an adult. It doesn't. Not all of
But
it.
how
It depends on
would you
what its
know that,
trauma
though?
is.
How would you truly know that though? Like you said, your daughter said
Yeah,
it was hard to come and talk to you, right? So
yeah,
how would
it's
you
kind of time.
know the depths of their heart? How would you ever know if it was hard to come?
Because we talk we talk a lot now.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was able to tell me, and so some of the stuff is like, listen, if you didn't get everything you wanted from me, I wasn't the perfect dad. She's the same daughter who had issues with me, and she did. Who says, listen, because now she's out there in the search for getting married. She said, Dad, you know what? I thought this was the biggest compliment that she could make. She said, listen, I can't find a guy like you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she told me. And we were at the dinner table, and it was mixed emotion for me because I felt that I blew an obligation to find somebody like that she could have met to make something arranged. Because I know enough people that I probably should have had that in my back pocket. Here's a good family. They got great sons and all this kind of stuff. But I didn't think about that because that's not the American way, And so she has some of that stuff with me. But just the same daughter said, Dad, you gave us a privileged life.
Yeah, I mean, two things can be true at one time. Definitely.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't think but I agree. That's why I could agree with you in some way. Maybe I wish I would have got those little nuggets, but then there was enough nuggets when she was growing up that I was there for, that I listened to her,
Mm-hmm.
that we worked out. So this shit's gonna slip through the cracks.
Yeah.
Could you think of it like this? When we are making these like the perspective I'm presenting, right? To give them the opportunity to have that space is to also no different from chores. It's to put a responsibility on them,
right,
for them to convey their ideas. Because that's how I look at it. When when we're having this conversation, I'm like, hey, you can talk to me. That's what we say. But when we do it habitually, right? Because if something bad happens, like I had something bad happen in my family recently, we want them to come tell us when something's wrong. And if the person closest to them doesn't make him, doesn't allow them, you really got to put that job on them. Like for them to have it, tell me. If the pot is boiling too hot, boy, come tell me. If it's too much pressure on you and your heart and your mind, come tell me. You got this big old daddy here or mama here, all this wisdom, this big old head I got. So you can get this wisdom up out of here. Pause on Diddy. And what I'm saying, I don't want to say burden them, but you're literally putting a responsibility on them to take responsibility for their mind.
Yeah.
No, you like I said, both of you guys got good points on this issue. All I'm just trying to say is, how do we move forward where people could say, well, that was the past, but now the future belongs to us. The future belongs to not me. When I say us, I mean them. The Z's and the millennials and the people and the younger, the X's. The future belongs to you. So all the damages of the past, the kids don't need to know that. All you need to do is don't be that person. Don't be that parent. Right? Be the parent you want to be to your kids and move forward. That's what I'm thinking. And I think that's evolutionary period. I just think that's an evolutionary thing.
Go ahead. I'm gonna say this one thing. I think how we frame it is how we look at it is framing it as we're making innovations when it comes to being parents as people, or inventions, and that's just we are doing our parenting reform to just be better, like we would do anything, like we would do on the job, like we do with cooking, like we do with fashion. we're gonna get our DLC or our update when it comes to parenting. And I understand your point of, look, stop, you don't throw us all under the bus because it all wasn't us and it wasn't all that bad and something. Because I agree with you. Because again, we wouldn't be here without y'all. There's so many ways to explain that. It's ridiculous. So we only know it was good or bad because of what y'all didn't do, and that's what so y'all did y'all job for us to know good or bad. You know what I'm saying? And
I understand. You know what? You know, it's funny. I hate the word trigger.
Mm-hmm.
But if there was a trigger like a gut, that shit actually gets to me, man. You know what I'm saying?
But that's a part of it. That's a part of what we learn.
That's a part of it, and because it triggers you, that's how you know that the way that you move forward, honestly, is that you try your best not to be the person that they couldn't talk to. You go to the other side of that spectrum, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how are you today? How's your day going? Like it's a lot of little things to check in with your children that mean a lot, that are bigger than you think. Like, you know what I mean? You know, your kids don't need a deposit of money. They need a deposit of love, of how you doing? Everything going okay? Is there anything that I can help you with? Do you need my advice on anything? You know, being open to those children because they are your children. Yes, they're older now and they're older adults, but they still need you as mom and dad because guess what? Every day is not promised. Every day is a gift. And so God forbid they wake up one day and they're not able to say, you know, read a text message or get a call from dad saying, how are you? Do you need anything? Or, you know, can we go to lunch? Or, you know, just those little deposits mean a lot. And they have to start when you're young, but because we're not gonna go in the past, we just gonna keep it moving to the future. And then in the future is I'm gonna do a better job of checking in. I'm gonna do a better job of, you know, making you feel seen and heard, because I know that was an issue for me in my past, and I don't want that to be a barrier between me and you, because I love our relationship, or I want our relationship to grow. Those are just things. And I think that back in the day, parents did not have the time, they did not have the space, the opportunity, the education to know what that vocabulary sounded like. They also didn't have the time to feel what that guilt felt like when your child knows that you're being dismissive, because it was like, you're on the go, you're working, you don't, you know, as long as they're provided for, they're good. But like World Class was saying, you know, they're little children and they're little extensions of you. And so while you may not say certain words, they're definitely seeing what you're not saying and not, you know, expressing to them. And it makes them feel away. And so we just have to be more cognitive about that as we raise children, because we're talking about marriage. And if we're not emotionally available for our children, they're going to practice the behaviors that we indirectly instilled in them, and they're not going to be ready for relationships. They're not going to be, you know, their first inclination is going to be distant because their parent was distant with them. Their first inclination is to, you know, clam up because they couldn't have these talks with their family. And while some people can be an open book, it might take a while to open that book, you know. And so you know, while you want your children to be careful, you also want them to be, you know, loved by you. If they know they ain't loved by nobody else, they should know that they love by you. And it shouldn't come in the I think a lot of times when you're parenting, when the kids are younger, it comes by way of roof over your head, food in your mouth, and, you know, those things that all parents say to us when we're young. You know, I ran this where I'll take you out. You got a roof over your head. You got to. It's like, yeah, but I mean, you don't put oil on my shoulder when it's hurt. When, you know, when it's hurting, either. Like, I'm not a tin man. I'm a human. And you know, you gotta be able to nurture that part of the human being too, because it's not going to nurture itself. It just ain't going to poof come out of nowhere. Now they're going to come out and go out into the world and be these great people who know how to cultivate these great relationships. No, they come from home. Anybody can go out here and work and pay a bill, and provide a house over their head. But when you talk about two people coming together and joining to life under a covenant, it's like, okay, well, how do I promise you this? How do I keep this? How do I keep this covenant? How do I practice these things? And children see that from their parents or their lack thereof, and so it's important to have that emotional availability accessible to your children, so they don't have to question that. They don't have to question that part of their relationship with you. Of course, yeah, Dad, where can I find you at? You work, you ain't never take a day off, you went to school so you could make more money, mom stay home. But it wasn't. I know what that looks like. I know what it feels like because I ain't never been out, homeless and nothing like that. But as far as that intimate relationship, I don't necessarily. I'm weird around men. I don't know how to compliment them. I don't know what they want. I don't know. All I know how to do is stay out the way and not make no noise. Because if I make noise, then I might compromise the mission here, and I don't want to do that. A lot of kids feel like that, and so parents just need to be a little bit more aware that a little goes a long way when it comes to the emotional availability with your children.
You muted.
That's just coming from working in schools and having that education background. Psychologically, I don't think people really think about, unless you're in that field and things of that nature, you don't really think about the psychological impacts that it has on children and their developmental growth.
Yes, absolutely.
So even if you take that into account, Precious, and it's true, right? It's not wrong what you're saying. But a lot of places where a lot of reasons you are where you are today, I'm at where world class, is a learned thing, right? Because not it's your parents is one source of stimuli, but you're still in the world, right? Nobody, I didn't get any of that stuff. But, I knew that there had to be something better for my kids. You went through the trauma that you went through and you got through it. But maybe you shouldn't have had to do that. But at some point you said, you know what? I can think about how bad it was, or I can find ways to change the way that I grew up and never let that happen to somebody I love, right? I think that's what happens with all of us. I keep going back onto this evolutionary thing because even though you're right, there's no perfection in life, right? So there's always going to be some hole that we all leave, some omission that could have made the difference. But that still doesn't give the people like my daughter, right? My daughters, even if I wasn't perfect or even good, well, I know I was good, but wasn't perfect enough and get everything, I still don't absolve them from evolving no matter how I was. Because they have the opportunity and tracks to run on to be better, right? They have circles of people that they're around. They have their mother. They have all the other things. So whether they didn't get all the nurturing that they needed, it doesn't mean that they have an excuse to cut off being a nurturing person in the future. I don't agree with that. I don't. I just say, yeah, you had this shit. Your shit sucked. Okay, now what you gonna do? That's why I get on these panels with these young guys telling me how messed up we were. So, okay, Gen Z, the future is yours. What's your plan? What's your plan? And don't just tell me that your plan is to do better. Somehow find a way and do better. Make sure you don't repeat the mistakes of the past. And that's what we're talking about today. Even if you didn't have to,
that's the difference in the communities, though, because white folks, all right, it's so different with their families than our families, because there is no what's your plan. There is I'm going to help you with your plan. I am actually probably got enough to be the plan for you, but I am also going to still nurture you and love you and take care of you and things of that nature.
That's a small percentage of the white folks. That's not the rank and file white person. It's not.
Okay, but like I was saying earlier, they can still have those heated debates and those arguments and things of that nature and get through it and continue the next day as if it never happened the next day and still love each other the next days on end. In our community, you say one thing to offend someone because they didn't have the education that you have. You should be able to share these new things with the old generation. It shouldn't be a, we didn't have that. You guys got more, and so make your plan and go ahead. It's like, where are we family? Are we connected in any type of way? Is there any support and love there? See, the difference with you is, you know, there are parents. Okay, so when you're parenting, there are different levels, right? You got to learn when to lift the reins and not be so strict, and it's just a lot of different moving parts. But at the end of the day, you're still the loving should never change, and so you can't give what you didn't get. And so that's evident that a lot of baby boomers didn't get a certain type of nurturing or, emotional availability from their parents. But just because the next generation is, they should be able to share that with their baby booming parents and say, okay, this is what I learned. I learned a lot in college. A lot opened up for me in college between psychology, sociology, marriage and family classes that I took, marriage and politics. There was a lot of things that I learned in college. It was like, wow, I didn't know this. I didn't know that, developmental, your brain develops at certain ages, and certain ages as a child, you should be developing in a certain way. I didn't know those things. And especially growing up being in foster care and adopted, already feeling like I'm, planted in the middle of the earth from where, I don't know. So, these are things that you should be able to share, where the parent is like, should be open to those things. And a lot of times there's no openness on that side. And so you go where people are open. And that's naturally what children do. The streets are open, so they go to the streets, right? Somebody else's family is open, so they cling to that family. And then your family will say to you, well, you talk to them, you go over there, you share with them, and you go to da 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 da. And it's like, children only respond to love. That's it. And that's all. I mean, it's not that hard, they only are going to respond to love. And I think that people sometimes get offended by that, but it's not for you to get offended. It's almost like, okay, well, if they're learning new things, let me see what they're learning. Let me take a piece of what they're learning and get into it a little bit and show some type of interest in it. And I think that's where the barriers are. It's like, okay, you have access to something I didn't have access to. And so since you got access to it, you go on and do your thing, but it should be an all-inclusive type of experience, because you're all growing. Just because you didn't receive it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be growing and being open to what you didn't receive. It actually probably would be a gift to you, because you didn't receive it when you needed it at that time and point in time in your life. And not just you, Arpan. I'm just saying.
I know what you're talking about.
So I think that sometimes we got to look at those things as gifts, because honestly, you could heal some things that you weren't able to heal in your life. And every day is a learning experience. Every day is a day to learn something new. I was on an interview and they say, what annoys you most about people? And I said, closed-minded people. I can't do closed-minded people. If you're not willing to learn, if you're not willing to challenge yourself, if you're not willing to do those things, I'm annoyed by you, by your whole existence. I can't do it. Because we are here and to waste time and to not be open to learning or open to perspectives, especially your children's. Golly, I can see if you ain't open to a stranger on the street, but your children, that's a different type of hurt when you're not open to your children and what they got to say and what's ailing their hearts. That's a different kind of hurt on your children's part. So I think that, those things need to be explored, and they need to be, explored heavily, because that's another reason why people probably aren't getting married. It's like, oh, well, I saw my parents and it didn't work out. Oh, I was discarded. Oh, nobody took the time with me. Those things are very important when it comes to then deciding if you're going to spend the rest of your life with somebody else or not. Because those things sometimes drive people to be single.
A lot of the gangs and the promiscuous girls are in these situations because this person listened to me. These people listen to me. Why you with these niggas is gonna got charges gonna get you charges. They feel like family will be because there's a level of relatability and trust. You relate with a stranger more than somebody that got the same blood type or the same genes you got, and that's a problem. So we've been responding to those facts. And the thing that I think is, Preston said psychology. I learned it from neuroscience and studying neurology, and the would allow me to like calm down and really get into a place where I don't react to people is when I realize how mechanical people really are. Neurology put it back, and neuroscience put it back in my hands because I got a mechanic background. We know how to work with hands. I'm with the old guys, so we know how to fix stuff. Once I realized that certain things, certain sounds is a cause and effect of why people do things, generally speaking. Obviously, these are these are beings, and they're not machines in essence, but there's a legitimate consensus on why things happen the way they do, what people actually need. A lot of people don't know that their body is made of 102 minerals, and if you go most of your life without those minerals, it's gonna cause brain issues. People are not hydrated. Things start to make sense when you realize, when you look at the functionality and the mechanics of how the brain works and how the body works and the nervous system works. And when those things are, when you have a person that has lived in void of the necessities just of your body, you know what I'm saying, and how your mind kind of breaks down. Same way a car don't get what it needs, it'll break down, and start to make a lot of sense. And some of the things that we're saying, especially with how these babies need to get it out. Like what the Bible said, man can't live off bread alone. These babies need words, and they need to get their words out, and they need to learn how to. And this is one of the things that helped me. I used to be very violent, very very violent, a super galactic. I would punch anybody. Like I would hit people very very quickly. So what calmed me down was learning how to express myself, and not just say words, but I want to say it exactly how I mean it, and I don't want to take all day to say it. And once I learned how to do that, and number one thing I learned how to do was give warnings, give people fair warnings. That calmed me down, and that allowed me to really start to think. And I don't think I'm that. I know I'm special, but I don't think I'm that special to where what I got, a lot of hood dudes around the country could have got 20 years ago or 20 years from now, and had similar results. You know what I'm saying? Just from understanding that. And I think just getting the guy, and I've done this so many I've done this so many freaking times, bro. I don't know how many lives I've saved. I'm gonna say at least 10, where I'm just letting a young man get his shit off, pause, no diddy, explain to me how he feels, and it calms him down. When I'm like, I do the same thing with them that I do with my son. I explain to them, and what I do with my son, when I say 20, 30 seconds, I listen to him, I hear what he's saying, and then I'm giving them a call to action. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do it this day. We're gonna do it this way, and that works with boys. Not so much with girls. It take a little bit more time because they're a little bit more expressive. But it works. And once it don't even matter if they understand it. They just know they're heard. They know you got their back, and they will run through a fucking brick wall for you when you do that. And it's the most beautiful thing in the world, when they know you got their back and they want to make you proud of them. And that's the thing that kept me from going off the deep end, is that I got men that I want to respect me. You know what I'm saying? And I have women that I want to respect me. I got these little people that look up to me, that I don't want to fail. And I think that is the only anchor I think people can have, and we can have long range, is when the new generation, next generation, or even a generation like mine is our time right now. We 38 and up, right? 85 babies, that 85. We got to have that anchor of respect and admiration, and they want to make the people around us and the people we come from proud of us, or we'll go off the deep end. And I know for a fact that because of the people that gave me an opportunity to talk when I didn't fucking want to, that listened to how I felt. And when you know what, you're right, your mother was tripping. Man, that shit saved me so many times. You know what, you're right. I swear my life, I'm not even playing. I don't know who I would be if I ain't had my aunt, my grandmother, my uncle, a couple of my cousins, friends say, you know what, your mother has lost her mother. She wrong. You right. She tripping. That saved me. Because I was planning just like those young boys, this little shooter that I know. He was mad with his mom. He on that this, I swear my life, I'm not even playing. He mad with his mother. He gets on the IG talking about, yeah, bad face. Let any nigga say anything to me, I'm bad face, nigga. I'm popping you. Did on the IG. And I was like, yo, hold up. And I talked with this kid for like an hour. So I did the same stuff. My mother made me mad. I'm putting my hands on somebody's child when I get to school, when I get out here in these streets. So I know it works. I know that's more of an extreme. I'm from Baltimore, so that's a war zone. I know it's more extreme, but I've watched it work, and it's way better than just get over it, because we don't have the mechanism to just get over it. We don't got the ladder. We don't know what a ladder is. We don't even know a ladder exists. We're not going to get over it. We're just going to fight with the other crabs. You know what I'm saying? So that's my spill.
Yeah, I guess we just not as tough as y'all are, Pain. We just we ain't built like y'all. But it's okay. We built a little differently, but we all can work together.
I call it evolution. That's what I call it. I think y'all have the space to do it. That's what I'm saying. I mean, wherever it comes from, whether it's college, whether it's reading a book, whether it's just, if there's a way to do things better, I'm all for it. I mean, that's what I'm saying. But we just can't reach back in the past and change anything.
No, you're absolutely right. We can't. But having that open mind and willingness to move forward in a different way that's what's needed.
I agree with that. Like, that's why, on Sunday, when I've been doing this for over a year now. When my daughters graduated from college, they came back home. The youngest one is with me. The oldest one, when she got out in 2015, she came back and lived in our house. And so she would, she didn't have to go out there and spend money and pay. She stacked bread. I set her up. She's all set up, to be self-sufficient, right? And so she's going. So the youngest one is back here, but she has her, she's out there. She's social. She plays music. She's an architect. She's doing all kinds of stuff. And maybe one day she'll get married. I wish my oldest one would have left my house married, but it didn't work out that way. She had a couple of guys. One guy was a top candidate. Shit just didn't work out. But maybe it'll work out for her in the future. I couldn't do anything about it. My goal was just to get her to adulthood without being a single mom.
Yeah.
That was it might sound narrow. It was getting her out of school, getting her educated, and understanding that there's mistakes that you can and cannot come back from. Right. She listened to me. And that was it. Both of them listened to me. So, and it was cool. So that's all I can say. But it's not enough, right? So I relish and cherish the days that we sit around and break bread and talk. Because now I hear them as adults. So the stuff you're saying, I can dig it, right? So I shut up and let them talk. We get into these conversations. So that's cool, So whatever damage, well, I don't think I committed any damage, but I know there was some omissions. I could tell. I will argue with that, because I didn't coddle my girls that much at all, but I think they got off what they needed to get off, and that was it.
And it's different.
It's a good conversation because it's what you're saying is true, but I look at it from a time period now and into the future. If we can do that, it'll be great. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of kids ain't getting that from their parents even today.
Yeah. Right, and it's worse, and it's worse off today not getting it as opposed to
definitely so much more stimuli out there.
Right. So that's why I'm trying to highlight it on this show, because it's like we have to pay attention to that, because you hear so many young girls or young guys, ending children's lives because they don't know how to be there emotionally, or they don't have that bandwidth to deal with the children in that capacity, and they feel like they got to end their lives in order to end it all. And it's like, no, you don't have to do that. but you do have to, take those deep breaths, have patience, and get help. Like, you know, parents, y'all, we pose as if we have all the answers, but we don't. And it's okay to say that we don't, and it's okay to get help. It's okay, like you said, our pain, to go get a book, read it.
Well, yeah.
Those things are okay. Again, if you still stuck, if you had children back in 1987 and you still stuck in that mind frame, something is wrong with you.
Can I point out this one thing? This is definitely one of those situations. Just what you just pulled out, right? A child will look at parents and think that we think we know everything. That's a perfect opportunity to teach them that no, what you're witnessing is leadership. That's our opportunity to teach. This is leadership. I have to make a decision. I have to be confident. I can't convey weakness to you, right? As a leader, I have to be able to make a decision, and I got to live with my failure. That's not me thinking I know everything. That's just me knowing and acting on the fact that I have to lead and I have to make a decision. I have to be sure. I can't be sitting here wavering. If you watch any situation with the military, you don't see the captain shaky and doubtful and biting his nails, right? And so they won't think you Superman. They just know that, hey, this is something that we have to do. You know what I'm saying? Like there's just stuff like that as an example. Give them that opportunity to to kind of receive that and go, okay, because then they'll want to help you.
Yeah.
And that's the part that's beautiful when they want to come and help, when they want to come in the kitchen, when they want to understand. And you get these sweet babies that just, they see you sad, they gonna come and, you know what I'm saying? It's just to watch them be.
I saw a video today like that.
Yeah, it's nothing like it, man. When you have that, and you said the key word, intimate, that intimate relationship where they are in tune with every face you make, and they want to make sure you're all right. And they get in the part where they're trying to be there for you. While you ever seen a baby? You ever seen a baby? I seen this video of this baby, and my son did it too, where you're putting them to sleep, you're patting their back, and they patting your back. That's the cutest shit in the world. And they all they know how to do is treat you how you treat them. Is my point.
Yeah, and it's nothing like not having to beg for your children to love on you. No parent wants to beg for that, and if you do, then obviously there's some type of deficit there where kids should want to. Home should be home base, like the game tag. Like, tag, you're it, but I'm going back. The home base is safe. And a lot of people go back to home base, and that's it. All right, we're gonna move on to the next topic because it's getting late, and I don't want to be on here too long. Because
is that the video that you use to promote this?
Yes.
Okay.
So
great.
This one, we're talking about a woman is on Hardly Initiated, a great platform that has grown from the bottom up. I feel like I've been there from the beginning, seeing how they have grown, and they've had a lot of greatness on their platform. And this woman, I'm not even quite sure who she is, but she came on here talking about men and how men are not taking on the responsibility to cover women in marriage. They'll be with them for 6-7 years, but they will not take on the responsibility to cover them. And she calls them boys who fake covering these women out here. So we're gonna get into it.
Covering anybody, that's a responsible grown man thing, to be a husband and a father. Y'all ask women all the time why you ain't married, but people don't ask men that. They don't ask men that because they like to make women feel like they're not on the level of getting married, anybody wanting to be with them. When a girl is dating a guy for 6 years, the family is asking her, why he ain't married you yet? But nobody's asking that boy, hey, why you ain't married her yet? What's your problem? Why the men in the family haven't come to him and say, hey man, what's your issue? You gonna marry her or not? Or you gonna make her a whore for 6, 7, 8 years? Where the daddies at? Where the big brothers at? That step up to these men and say, you done had a kid with her? Y'all live together? Why won't you marry my sister, my cousin? What is up with you, man? So you just gonna whore around on her like that? You gonna sleep with her but not actually make it official? You're not gonna actually cover her for real? You gonna fake cover her? Because these men are not covering anybody. That's a responsible grown man thing, to be a husband and a father and take care of your family in your house. That's grown man business. And we don't have enough men deciding to step into grown man business and say, I can cover a wife and I can cover children and I can take care of them. Men are running from that. They don't want the responsibility of that. They're boys.
So do you guys think this is true, what she's saying? Is there a little bit of truth to it, or is she all the way off base with it?
Yeah, it seems things either true or not true. So it's not true. We get pressured all the goddamn time. A lot. I've heard that all my damn life. You with a chick for y'all look cute at the birthday party or at the barbecue chick. When you gonna marry that girl? I just met the girl 2 months ago. You asked me what? Like, come on. I don't even know. Never mind. I ain't gonna say what I was about to say. Well, we hear this stuff all the time, bro. And I guess she just hasn't heard it enough in her life, or she's just lying, or she's just vengeful. Or a lot of people have done what she said, made her feel like she's inadequate because somebody ain't married her or whatever. But it's no truth to her to what she's saying, other than there's not enough men doing that, stepping up to the plate. I'll give her that. I mean, I don't think, it's definitely not enough. The merge, you just ran off the merge number, so it definitely can't be. It can't possibly be enough, right? So, yeah, I don't. That's not culturally. That's just not true. I mean, you have a lot of men that we get it. We get that question all the time. She the one. It should come if any chick that even if for those of even for those of us that was running the streets and niggas know we running the streets in our youth, we still act. If she the one, is she the one? Is that girl? Who the one? Who the main? Who the main means is this the chick that you want to marry? Even though that don't always, end up being, at the courthouse or whatever, with paperwork or whatever. But we hear it all the time. It's pretty normal. As for that girl's family, she may have a point there why that family don't come up and press that man. Cool. I can give her that. I don't think that happens enough. Because that's more contentious, right? Because a fight can break out, some shit like that. But I just know culturally, yeah. I mean, just about any man will tell you that we're pressuring the guy like, all right, marry her, because you want to see a guy in a stable situation, because we know how it is out here. The more you play Russian roulette, you're gonna find that crazy chick, be on child support, go through something crazy. So you want your guys, cousin or brother, to find that one. You know what I'm saying? And it's also a point of like a joke. So I ended it.
All right.
What do you think, Arpain? Does she have any
The only point she made that I agree with. Okay, say what your question is.
I was just gonna say, is there any validity to what she was saying? That's all.
Yeah, the one point that she's valid on is, and a lot of men get on my case for this. Men will waste women's time, right? And it's an age dependent thing. If you're a 23-year-old woman and you got a guy in a relationship, this is all with no kids right now. If it's 2 or 3 years, you could afford to kind of blow a little bit of that because you're still in your 20s. But if you're 28 years old, you shouldn't be in a relationship with a man for 3 or 4 years. Now you're in your 30s, and especially if his intention to you at some point was to marry you, and you're still not married, I defy any man telling me that if he really wants to get married to a woman, it takes 4 years or 3 years. He's getting all the juice. He's getting all this kind of stuff. He's getting all the benefits. He's not going to marry you. And then all of your that's 48 eggs gone. So all I'm just trying to say is you wasting time with guys, especially if you're just boyfriend and girlfriend and just dicking around, having a sexual relationship, then you're on your own. But if the intention was to do something serious, marriage, and he's not proposing to you, then he's wasting your time. And I have anecdotal experience with that with a real close, probably one of the only girlfriends that I had a girlfriend who I wasn't sexually attracted to. And my wife knows and all that kind of stuff. She had this guy, he was stringing along for 7 years. 7 years. I told her, this guy don't love you. He's lying to you. And she was just so head over heels. This guy. So he moves in with her, and 2 years later, she finds out he has a whole full family on the other side of town. And so she had to go through IVF back then because she wanted children. So so that got in my mind. You know what? Don't let no guy waste your time. And so if you're in your early 20s, that's one thing. Now, if you're if a woman, especially in the Black community, if you're dealing with a man 3-4 years, you're gonna get pregnant at some point. Right? And if he still ain't gonna marry you then, right, that's even worse. Because if you still want to be married to consummate that relationship, now you got a baby. And if he leaves, now you're stuck with him. Maybe even, let's just say he's not a deadbeat, right? But you just can't get it together. Now he's ruining your chance for the best man that you can get because he put a baby in you. And let me tell you, this whole notion about stepdads and all that kind of stuff, the biggest thing a man who's a single man who doesn't have any kids has against a woman who has other kids is that the other guy has access. It don't even have to be sexual access. He has access to you. And most men don't want a relationship with a woman where another man has that kind of access. So all I'm just trying to say is men will waste your time. So that's the only thing she said. And then she went into all the gaslighting bullshit that I just, women always do. When you're there, no good man out. That's all horseshit. That's all sign language. Because let me tell you, as far as I'm concerned, women control access to their bodies. I don't care how sexually attracted you are to a man, you get the right to say no to him. And that's not me talking, that's the court of law in every 50 states at every level. You have the right to say no. And the fact that you don't, you got to take the accountability for that. If you get pregnant, okay, both of you are responsible. But access is yours. It is. You tell a man no, he better not touch you, no matter what, or else he's committing a criminal act. So, so miss me with all that. But the point is, I hate when she went down that road. But as far as the men wasting your time, I'm with her 100%. Women need to, if this guy's, especially if you start out, I'm going to end it here, start out with an intention of being married, 1 year passes, 2 year passes, 3 years. Oh, I don't make enough money. That's bullshit. I don't do this. That's bullshit. If when a man wants a woman, ain't nothing going to stop him from claiming her. Period.
Yeah, I ain't wrong about that.
All right, Sean. I mean, I know you were traveling, so you got here safe.
Sean?
Thank you so much for popping up on the panel.
He's in the dark.
You just couldn't stay away.
I sure could, and I am on a plane, so you might not be able to hear me away. I put that. But yeah, man. I think a lot of men do need to say that more often. Now, to a world class point, we do hear it often. So it's not like it's not said, but it isn't said by men as often as we need to say it, especially in scenarios where they have children. Specifically in scenarios where they have children. Not in all other scenarios, but in scenarios where they have children, that needs to be said like it used to be back in the days. Make her an honorable woman. Now, when it is asked, it's pretty interesting because they might not like the answer. There might be a lot of reasons why he ain't married, and that'll just hurt that girl's feelings and whoever is asking. But the point is, it should be asked by men. I agree with her in that sense. Some of the stuff that she said, as World Class again said, might be a little bit far-fetched or out of touch, but overall, she does have a point when it comes to men saying it to other men.
Yeah, I've heard men say that to other men. But I think there's also a group of men who just know that there are a group of men that are not going to get married. They're going to always be single, or they're going to always, kind of play the field type of situation. And there are men who know that they are going to be like that too. That's why women always say, well, just be honest with me. If you don't want to be, with me and things of that nature, just be honest. And that's why women say that, because there are men who know they are never going to get married again. They are never doing, or they're never getting into a relationship, or they have just had this tainted view of relationships, and there's nothing that is going to make them marry. However, they still want companionship. They still want to be able to go out, have a nice night out on the town with no type of um, responsibilities, no type of anything that's going to tie them down to this woman. And so I don't think that that men aren't telling other men, but I do think that there's just not a lot of men who want to take on that responsibility, just based off of the sexual market field that we have right now, based off of the activity and behaviors that they see from women. Also, I do have another short clip, but I believe that women have to get better in the way that we communicate, me included. Like, we have to get better in the way that we communicate. And the small video that I have here that I'm going to show, and then we're going to get out of here, because this, I do always say, and I have always said that women have to lead in this area as far as communication, vulnerability, openness, and things of that nature. I believe that women need to lead in that area. And I know, women will say, well, he's a leader. He should be leading in everything, and he should be the first to do everything. And, while that, may be true for some people, I believe that women are the people who open the door for that in the relationship. And so if a woman never opens that door, if she doesn't communicate well, or she has a hard time communicating, the relationship is going to be a little bit stagnant. Like, it's not going to flow as great as we would like it to be, because there is an issue with the woman's communication. And so men, there are men, again, that will stay single forever, and they should be honest about that. Hey, I don't want no strings attached. I just want to, chill with you from time to time. That's it, and that's all. Or they just shouldn't get involved with women who, want to be in a relationship. But women also have to do a better job in communicating what they want as well, because a woman will live with a man for 5 or 6 years, and she won't say, hey, are you going to marry me? Like, is that something that is on the table? Did they have this conversation? But I wanted to play this small clip, and then we're going to get out of here, about communication and women being a little bit better at it.
Do not know how to communicate with men. Now, before you go damaging your phone by trying to punch me through the screen, hear me out on this. Boys learn to interact with women through their interactions with their mother, which usually goes something like this. Who's mommy's special boy? Mommy believes in you. Anything that you set your mind to, you can achieve. Now, do you think that you can help mommy bring in the groceries? Now, women, on the other hand, as girls, they learn to become women by modeling their mothers. And more often than not, their interactions go something like this. You're on the phone again? How many times do I have to tell you? No phones at the dinner table. It's like everything I say goes in one ear and out the other. So when these two individuals grow up, he is expecting to get support for his efforts, while she has learned to complain in order to express her discontent. If we want to fix this, we as women hold the key. And when you learn to communicate your needs in a way that is soft and respectful, they will be heard. And believe me, the men who were raised well will be more than happy to step up to the challenge.
And I think that's why a lot of men aren't running to marry women, because there's definitely a communication barrier there. Women are not supportive of men. I had a girl on my post who was like, well, who cares what men want? And it's like, what? You want to be with a man, but you don't care what he wants? I don't understand. I don't get it. So, women definitely hold the, I would say, the onus on allowing a man to even want to open up to want to marry you. So I think that what that woman was saying was not all the way true. And I'm talking about the woman that was in the video with Hardly Initiated. What she was saying wasn't all the way true, because men will, move hell and high waters for the woman that they want to be with. But the woman that they want to be with also have to be supportive. They have to be someone that speaks life into him, and that's not necessarily what we're facing in today's society. What do you guys think about that second video on the way women communicate with men?
It's spot on. I mean, it's what we've been alluding to and what we've been talking about for a while. Shit, maybe they'll accept it when the white lady said, because I've been saying the same shit over and over again. Is that these chicks be treating the little girls way worse than the boys. So, but you've heard this, right? When men, you've heard women, you've heard females say, I'm not his mother. I don't want to be his mother. Over and over and over again, and they're talking about what was just in that video. So that says then it ain't about the men. That is somebody that has the culture of women today. They have parental envy, or that battle was how their mom raised them. It really don't got nothing to do with us. Is that they are jealous or envious that boys were talked to in a certain way, and they weren't. Evidenced by the video prior to that, with this lady saying men need to say this to other men. We do. Women have seen this. So, but in your mind, you only thinking about the positive stuff, or you're thinking about what we get to get away with, or from an envious mindset. And that stuff needs to change to where a woman thinks talking to a male like a human being is being his mom. Well, lady, if you're marrying a guy, you're going to be the mom in the house.
Right.
You might as well just be in practice, because it doesn't make any sense. Well, I don't want to clean this clothes. Oh, because you don't want to clean the house. Like, what do you? So then it gets to the tick for tat stuff. Well, if you don't want to clean my house, you don't want to clean my house, you don't want to clean up after me, I don't want to pay your bills. Then we get back into the stupid stuff. So what we're talking about in terms of parenting has been my position since I've been in this space. The parenting and is the root cause, is where the problem can be fixed at, put it like that. Therefore, that's where all the problems are stemming from. And this, if you ain't had no evidence, it's just tonight itself should explain it to you, make it clear. Because the stuff that these chicks are, their behavior, the twerking, all of that stuff is simply rebellious acts from their motherhood. And if the fear of motherhood, to the point where they're saying we should delete the boys, a specific gender, a specific race, because you're not confident in your ability to be a parent, in your ability to be mature. All of this stuff is centered around how they were raised, how their mom didn't protect them from other women, because you never could protect yourself from your mom. So you go to school, you go to the job, and you can't protect yourself. So I think it was a good illustration, a little dramatic. I don't think, a woman can go, well, I talk to my daughter the same way I talk to my son. But when the net gain is just like, why they get treated in a certain way, I'm left with, having been in the violent upbringing myself, I'm still left with, the girls got it worse than us. The girls got it way worse than us. And I think because we're stronger, it doesn't bother us as much with the physical and violence, because I still got sport as an outlet. I done had so many situations coming up where, average guy can tell you, I hit the game winning shot, I make the tackle, I got the crowd going yay or whatever. And the only time she do it is when she's twerking or something. Ain't no crowd for when you braid your hair, right? And you make that hairstyle. There's no crowd sitting there cheering you on, screaming your name. Like, I don't get that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe when you at church and you do the solo, maybe you get that. But I don't think y'all in a position to get the praise that we get. And I think that stems. I think that causes some issues. But I think that upbringing that you illustrated, that the lady illustrated in the video, is telling. I think more women need to be honest about what they may have gotten from their mom or what they haven't gotten with their mom. Because I really think, I always look at it in these spaces with the so-called modern women conversations, that they really mad with their mom. They ain't mad with us. That's why they say it to us.
Yeah.
Wow. You said a lot. One of the things that you did say that I want to emphasize, envious. That's something that's overlooked pretty often. The envy that a lot of women have towards men and other women. And that envious spirit is something that really has a significant toll on the relationships. And part of that envious spirit that was displayed in that video you just said is the fact that they complain when they're envious, which makes it even worse. Because you see a lot of women complaining, as the video described, and they don't even recognize it as complaining.
Mm-hmm.
And that really, I literally just left. Not just left, but I've been speaking to a lot of women, and I'm recognizing how much their conversation is really complaint based.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Jesus Christ. Oh.
And I didn't realize it because I grew up with it. I didn't recognize it as a complaint. I recognized it as a conversation. But when as I'm looking at it and actually hearing it for what it is, I'm like, wow, you sit around and you complain. We call it being negative. We call it a lot of different things. But it's an innate personality trait that a lot of women possess is to complain as their expression of conversation. Like, yeah, you know how they say they had that description where the boy can't get what he wants, he tries to solve it, and when a woman can't get what she wants, she cries to be heard. That crying to be heard looks like complaining. You know, so it's very interesting. And something you said about the first part of the video that I think that we didn't really tap into, or what we said, but I'm going to reiterate it, is the fact that and this is going to be to this video, it's going to be a controversial. Women say, I don't want to be his mother. Well, guess what? Me personally, I want somebody like that, because mothers give unconditional love, and that's what I'm seeking, is unconditional love, because you'll give it to your child very easily. But when it comes to your mate, there's an issue with it. And we give, or I give, unconditional love. So when I'm giving it, I want it to be reciprocated, and it's a difficult thing to find someone who's able to reciprocate the sacrificial, unconditional love that mother gives to children, or a husband often gives to a wife.
Indeed.
That's definitely one thing women is, that love is not parallel in their minds. More women than not would have their love for their child greater than the love for their husband. And that's wrong. That order is wrong. And again, these are reasons why men don't want to get married. So I think instead of women trying to rack their brains over, especially the women that want to get married, why isn't he asking the question, why doesn't he do this, why doesn't he do that, why doesn't he do this? We need to, my mom always told me, when you are pointing at somebody, there are four fingers pointing back at you. So we have to be mindful that there are things that we have to change. There are things as women we have to adjust in order to just be the best wife that there is. And when that man does find you, hopefully he finds a good thing in the way that he's supposed to.
Precious, one last thing. I literally just said this to one of my homeboys over the weekend, and I pointed the finger at him because he was putting his child. He said, my son comes first in my relationship, and she got to understand it. And I said, bro, you dead wrong. And he was like, what you mean? I said, if you're calling her your woman, wife, or whatever you want to call her, your son should not come first. She should. And the more you say that, you're dividing your household. And as you're dividing your household, because it's not their son, it's his son, And I said, the more you're dividing your household, the more your household is going to be contentious. And after I finished with him, the difference between my conversation with him and some of the women, he said, all right, with that said, I got to go downstairs and go hang with my wife. Go hang with her. And so he took accountability and went to try and adjust and change the circumstance immediately. And that's a big difference that I don't see often. They feel like you're pointing a finger at them and saying you're throwing something in their face and things of that nature, instead of just embracing, you know what? You have a point. And I say it also to say that it's not that we just speak to women about this. We do speak to our brothers about this. The difference is our brothers embrace it a little differently.
That's actually good.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head when you said, Sean, when you said complain based, that communication. Like, so many girls think they grown because they know how to complain like their mom and them. And really the only difference between their mom and them is that a baby ain't come out of them yet. And they really think they put a lot of stock into running their mouth and complaining and, oh, I don't like this. The service ain't. They really think that it's being an adult, whining and complaining about stuff. Oh, you like the video we saying. Oh, you only make 100,000. You don't make 100,000. You just saying random stuff.
Everything else is great, but that, no.
It's just, and it just poisons your brain. I think, what is the word? Complacency, and it doesn't really promote any type of self-discovery. It doesn't promote anything. Well, they have this discovery when it comes upon some new shit. But that's poison in our community, man. Is that mindset of having a complaint be the foundation of who and what you are, or showing how valuable you are. And I don't take no shit off no nigga, and a nigga ain't niggas do it too though. Niggas do it too though, because we raised by these same people, and that don't really help you be anything. Don't help you do anything. Is you whining and complaining about stuff you too stupid to fix anyway.
Yep.
All you got to do is complain, and you don't know how to think. So who cares? So even if you get the answer to your complaint, your dumb mind still going to create the same problem.
Keep going in circles. Well, Arpain, did you go on this one?
No, I didn't.
All right, we'll do final thoughts.
I'll be quick. Well, listen, I don't know. Listen, I believe that most women are socialized to receive whatever it is, love, all that stuff, and then when they give, they expect something in return. So I believe that men who are marriage minded are socialized to give. And when we get married, we give. I think we give much more than we ask our women to give back. Right? Even if they love you, if you show that, some of it is unspoken and stuff like that. But I think our commitment level never really gets the notice that it needs. But just getting back on point with the kids, I had that conversation with my wife. The very first time she said, "My priority are my kids." And when she said that, the very first time, not the second time or third time, I said, wait a minute, let me stop you right there. These are not your kids. They're our kids. I said, I don't know who told you that, but they're our kids. And I said, our relationship revolves around me and you and our relationship. You take care of that, the kids will be taken care of. So let's please don't say that to me no more. They're both of our children, and they're ours. And she understood. But it's kind of funny because I talk about, when I get into these conversations with my wife, I asked her to do something for me, and she got a little pouty, right? This is recent. And it wasn't bad. I said, well, don't be mad at me. She said, well, you can't tell me how to feel. I said, yeah, but I said, but you shouldn't be mad at me. I didn't say you can't. I said you can't be. I just said you should be. I said, because I just asked you to do a couple things, and here's what I think I need you to do. And I also gave her the solution to what I wanted. And it wasn't no big deal. But the real point I was trying to make is that sometimes men let shit slide. Right? We let too much slide, and it doesn't have to be an argument, especially guys in in marriages. I don't respect regular relationships because we see how those things are. And I don't want to disparage anybody's relationship with their man or woman, but if you're not married, I don't think you're really committed. Okay? So that's how I look at it. So, but these little conversations don't have to be this is the kind of intelligence this is the kind of stuff that you guys are talking about. I understand how to reach somebody, and everything doesn't have to be I win, you lose. Sometimes the best solution is a win-win, and we don't get all the stuff we want, but we get enough to satisfy. And so yeah, there's a way a woman talks to a man, but they socialize to do that. But my wife doesn't talk to me that way, and I don't talk to her like I used to when I first got married. Because we had a conversation. Well, see, I learned shit too. Because I used to curse.
Okay.
I used to curse at her. And so I'm ended it. So I used to curse at her. And she said, well, when I curse, not to her, I used to use a curse word. She just shut down. So even if I was right, I could never get shit done. So I stopped cursing at her. So when next time we had a dispute, she was waiting for me to curse so she could shut down. And I didn't. And she looked at me. She said, you just don't want to curse. So I could, I just bust out laughing. I can't even remember who was arguing. We just bust out laughing. But anyway, so that's it. So women, you got to use psychology on them just like they use on you. And you don't have to accept shit just because they say it and they want it. And a lot of men, unfortunately, they accept too much shit. Because they're afraid, scarcity mindset, whatever it is. I wouldn't tolerate my wife talking to me any old kind of way without correction. And she did it to me too. So there you go. Here we are. Thanks for having us up there.
Of course. We're going to get into final thoughts. We're going to keep them short. Try and get out of here by 1:15. Give it about 5 minutes, and then we're out of here. I appreciate those who have tuned in. We still have a good number of people watching us on YouTube. Those who have tuned in from Facebook, thank you guys so much. Those who are in the chat, those who have sent super chats. I did get another Cash App from Timothy, so thank you so much if you're still watching. And Hank, who was on the panel, as well as the actual King Smith, who was also on the panel. Darwin, who's on the panel, who's actually going to be taking the position of educating women and making them feel comfortable enough to be able to take some of this advice that you guys are giving out, because men are voicing how they feel, what they want, what they don't want, things of that nature. And women are hearing these things, right? But I don't think a lot of women feel as though the men who are voicing these things are saying it in a way where they truly want to help these women. Are you getting it off your chest, or you really want to help me? So I think Darwin is taking that approach, and we need people like him. So thank you, Darwin, for that, if you watch this back. But final thoughts, and then we're going to get out of here.
I'll go first. Appreciate you for having me up. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, become a member, hit the Cash App supporter, support Precious, because she got the little like right over the the little thing. So that costs money, man. They don't look that good for free now. But I think this is awesome topics per usual. Women, I definitely encourage you, if you have that problem, more than likely you do. If you have the issue with your mom, your grandmom, the women in your family, you need to deal with that hurt in real life. It's okay. I don't care what they say. They don't have a right to hurt you without you doing something about it. They don't have to participate in that process of you reconciling and acknowledging that it's not okay for other women to attack you, especially not your mom, grandma, etc., older sister. But that's really more than most likely where your pain is. I've been in these conversations a lot. I'm telling you, once you're free of that, meaning you've confronted it, the real you is on the other side of that. And multiple situations, whether you were beat, abandoned, etc., they don't have to even be alive. They don't have to be in your life, but you have a right to address that issue of the women who look just like you targeting you for whatever reason. Y'all got to deal with that first before you can come to a man telling them what he is, when you still have to get pieces of you from people that look like you that kept it from you. So it's very important, again, to the topic. It starts at the root cause, which is when we're little people and how we're treated when we're little people. So if you were like me and you weren't treated the best, it would behoove you not to contribute to it. I expect you, and I think other people like us would expect you to know better. And I think we have to really dial in and look at parenting as a technology. The word technology actually, let me go back. It actually is from a Greek word that means systematic treatment of an art, craft, or technique. And really hone our craft at being parents, at being leaders, guiders of minds, mentors when it comes to these little people, especially the ones that come from us. I think that is the source of it. To not only just be better at it, but have a goal. I think back in the day they had a goal of, this kid is going to be a scientist, this kid is going to be X, X, and Y. But really perfecting our craft as being parents, and getting back to what we were before we was in captivity. But that's a conversation for another day. So definitely appreciate everybody that's been up on the panel, sharing wisdom. Peace.
Thanks so much. I appreciate you coming up on the panel.
Always.
Arpain, you want to give your final thoughts?
Just real quick. I'll let these guys go. We had a lot of stuff that we went through today, and we always do on your panels. I just think that anybody who's looking for a relationship, a man or a woman, you got to find whatever that happy medium is with your other person. But one of the things I think women have to do, because I think men are growing up and starting to understand their value a little bit more. I just think some of the sisters who get trapped behind the sister code, they need to understand that instead of leading with your accolades, that you're making money and all this kind of stuff, how about coming on one of these panels and telling everybody what you would do for the man you want? Just for a change, just list out what you would do for the man you want and start to echo that throughout these things. And maybe those kind of guys will start being attracted to you if you really mean what you say. And the last thing on that list is your box. Say all the other stuff that you would do for a guy that you want. I don't hear that at all from for the rank and file. Not all of the women, but for the rank and file, you never say it. I go to Lapeef, none of these women say, well, this is what I would do for a man I want. I never hear it. Out of some married women from time to time. And I know, Precious, that's not what you're talking about up here in these things, but I'm sure you have an idea of what you would do. So,
he gonna know.
Yeah. So we ain't asking you to share tonight, but I'm done. That's it. Thanks for having me up. Hey, it's cool being on the panel.
Sean, did you want to give final thoughts? Are you there? Everybody sleep on the plane?
Oh yeah, I'm here. Yes, both of those. Yes to both of those.
You're in first class over there, Sean, or what?
Comfort. But we mentioned earlier in this video that women. You said, Precious. I heard it a lot from men asking about why aren't you married.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that you didn't identify and recognize is that that's because it's you. And a lot of men don't ask that question because they know why.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't ask that question because they know why. They know the tendencies of that person sometimes. And it boils down to this, which is my final thoughts. We have to first identify where you have pain in order to start trying to get a resolution to pain. And that pain is what causes you not to value yourself as much as you need to. And we need to learn how to value ourselves in order to receive the quality that we expect. And that's not gender specific. That's to both men and women. We have to identify our pain, no pun intended pain, and we have to, that's where we can start getting a resolution. But the biggest issue or the root of a lot of it often becomes we don't value ourselves. So with men, we don't value our seed. But we want to talk about kings. The one thing kings did is they spread their seed with intention. They didn't just spread their seed. because they value their seed. And we tend to loosely say, oh, we here to multiply and leave a legacy, but we're not always identifying the intention that quote unquote kings, I'm a king, that they have when they're spreading their seed. And to women, value your box. You don't seem to value your box. Yes, you do have the access, or as Payne will always say, you are the author or you are the controller of sex, but you often release that authority to men and you lose all sense of ability to have the value that it actually holds. So you got to value yourself, your box, and man, we got to value our envious member a little bit more. And I'll leave it there.
Well, thank you for your final thoughts from way high in the sky. We appreciate you, Sean. And Darwin came back for some final thoughts. So what did you want to leave us with?
Hold on for one thing, man. I'm gonna coin that phrase, my envious member. I can't wait to use that one.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm talking about. All right.
I think you're on mute.
I'm sorry. All I had to say is I appreciate you having me on earlier because I had my own live stream earlier. And I think I touched on a little bit of what you sent me as the main topic. I didn't get my point. I wanted to get my point on it, but I'll do maybe another time. But I just want to say appreciate having me on there. Now, what I can do is, if I can give any takeaways from that main topic, is to first of all, I think the lady articulated herself incredibly. I don't know if most of the panel agreed with her about men covering a woman and not shrinking them along for years, and they're supposed to be a provider and all this other stuff. I think a woman is, and that's the reason why I tell women to date economically. You know, if you're gonna get in a relationship with a man, make sure you put your emotions aside. Let those come later. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of men don't know whether or not they're ready to be married or not, but they still want to have sex and procreate and cohabitate. So I said, if a man is gonna do that to you, you got to understand you're losing your time. So you need to get something out of it. I talked to a woman in one of my consultations, and she told me that her relationship failed. But earlier in that same conversation, she said that a man had paid off her vehicle. She had just bought a vehicle 3 months before that, and he paid it off within 6 months. I said the relationship was successful. Some people just come in for a brief moment and they leave. But you got somebody, you gain something out, and it's going to help you progress. So now you can leverage that and use it for investing or whatever the hell you need. So focus on, the economics. Men are supposed to be providers. That's what I teach. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people want to go with the 50-50 route. That's fine with y'all. But I tell women that they'll have an easier life if they deal with men who are able to provide. And granted, these men are wanting to do that. And if that's the outcomes you want, you need to make sure that you prioritize economics. And that's all I can say. Bless you, Precious. I'll see you on the next one. I'm going to go on vacation next week. I might still pull up with my mobile device. But Payne, I like how you try to handle Kenny. He was out of line for coming at you using your name and not giving you any opportunity to rebut. Appreciate you coming to my back on a man breaking into my property and breaking into my shed and justifying his way and saying that, I got to be the one to, see what problems he have. No, motherfucker, you finna get your ass shot. Excuse my language. But y'all take it easy, man.
Thank you, Darwin. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. You guys don't have to do this. You don't have to be here. You don't have to support. You don't have to participate, but you do. And I really do appreciate it. So thank you. Happy Monday. Y'all know what I say when I get out of here. Be real with yourself so you can be real with others. Those are my final thoughts always. Y'all have a great evening.